you want to be a part of the Coco community? Sure, we all do. So join this free weekly live talk show to find out how easy it is to watch at home and learn about your color computer. At the CoCoNation, more than 9 million men and women have participated in the community without setting foot outside their homes. And now at home in your spare time, you can see what's happening, or even join the discussion. Choose from any one of these segments: panel intros, project updates, acquisitions, Coco Thoughts, featured interviews and events, the Game On Challenge, news, Ron's Garage, Coco commercials, show coverage, panel goodbyes, or you can join one of our extra shows. You can choose from the Game On Challenge Live or Coco Tech. Join the CoCoNation right now.
Click the link for the free information TJB Chris spoke about. Then decide if you want to watch the CoCoNation Live Show, the world's leading live weekly talk show featuring the Tandy color computer, its siblings, cousins, and red-headed stepchildren. Visit thecoconation.com. There is no obligation, and no salesman will visit you. Visit thecoconation.com.
The CoCoNation show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCoNation show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCoNation.
Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCoNation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CoCoNation Show, episode 390. Dead air is what happens when you lose track of what the heck you're doing in the conversation.
Wait, we have any idea of what we're doing?
And then the intro runs out.
That snuck up on me.
It happens.
Oh, let's see.
At least I have YouTube muted.
Okay, let's intros. That's what we want to do. Intros. All right, let's see who's on the panel today. Top left corner, we got Sloopy Malibu. And Ken Waters.
Really? I've been upgraded to the top level?
You're on the top,
Woohoo!
you're top shelf now. Next over, yours truly, the button pusher. Oh, then we got Ron Deluxe.
You're muted, Ron.
Great show today for sure. Just some of it silent. That's all.
Okay. That's all right. We're contemplating doing another future episode in sign language.
Hello.
All
Just
right.
put a bunch of dots on the screen. We'll make it in Braille.
There you go.
Next row, we got Kevin Holloway.
Hello, everybody. I know one sign language, but the other I'm not going to show.
It was supposed to be this one. All right, Rick Euland.
Greetings and proposing Morse code for our audio listeners.
Okay. And Henry Gernhardt.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the CoCoNation. My name's Henry, and today I've got an extra camera angle that I might be showing off.
Okay. And now we're going to catch Brian Weasler by surprise.
Hello, all. How you doing?
At least
He
his
wasn't
mic
too
was on.
surprised.
His mic was on.
He's busy
All
directing
right.
that truck full of stuff coming in the side there, just off camera.
All right. Next row, Marco.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
All right. And then last but not least, L Curtis Boyle.
Welcome to the show, everyone. We're going to have a special follow-up episode of CoCotech right after the show, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully, Nick will actually be here for it. Otherwise, I got to try to do it solo, and I don't have the disk image that he was working on.
So it might be a short show.
Well, I can
It's
still
gonna be short
explain
anyway.
what the stuff is. I just may not have all the demos ready, or I might have to do them live in real time. Watch me code poorly.
All right, let's see. Over in the chat, we've got Wayne Campbell, the break key, J.E. Jones, 3141, 8 bits in the basement, Canadian Retro Things, Kevin Holloway, Jim Rye, La Coco Stragiano, Michael Zwiffel, Mark Siegel, Tom Eric Gunderson, Jim Rye, Chris Dries, 60. And that brings us up to current. Okay. So I asked a question earlier about project updates and got some crickets. So Brian, you have anything for us?
I got a few things I can share.
Okay.
Let's see.
Nice.
Get myself situated here.
Count on Brian to always fill in when we need it.
Yeah. Swinging in here at the last minute here. Okay. So you got me ready here?
Getting there.
Oh, okay.
All right, got you spotlighted and
Okay, excuse me here. Haven't had a chance. Let me just take a quick drink of water real quick here. Just no perceptions over the bottle.
Straight vodka, I'm betting.
No recriminations.
No, just had to get a little drink there. Okay, so first off, I was gonna share a couple of things here. Switch cameras.
Do you have a new camera?
No, this is the one that you see here is the one I've been using for years. It's just never been in the picture
In the
before.
view. Okay.
Yeah.
Henry has the new camera.
There we go.
Just a new
Okay.
angle.
Okay. So the first thing I was going to show is on Facebook recently, somebody had shared a picture of, let's see here. Let me find the one here of this issue of Rainbow magazine. And Rainbow had done in this series of these special issues that they did. And they were talking about it. And this one here also is the one that they also made into a poster. And I don't know if they did any other posters, but I don't have it up right now. But maybe a year or so ago, you might have, over my shoulder, you might have seen this poster of this cover of Rainbow there. And it got me thinking a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, I got that one. And so I wanted to see which other ones I had. I couldn't remember. So I went and pulled my box out because I haven't had a chance to get them up on my shelves here yet in my new space here. But anyway, they did kind of a series of these here. And so this was volume, it says volume 2. And so I wasn't able to sure if I could find a volume 1. I think the volume 1 was obviously that where they started out with the paper and went with it. So
yeah, volume 1 was literally a double-sided 2 sheets of paper Xeroxed.
Right. And let's see, they look a bit like, let me just reach down here. They looked a bit like this here, where they were literally on paper. So
that was the first. The one you're showing right now, the first anniversary issue, is the first one they actually had a real cover with glossed paper and everything.
Yeah, and then they went to kind of this colored front paper of some of these here, and then they went to and I think this maybe I started going to here. So this one here was kind of their like you said, their special first edition here, and then the second one here. Had to do with kind of this Dragon series that they did, and then there was the special education series that they did.
Yeah, that became a an annual tradition. They'd always have, like, August would be the games issue, September was always the education issue, and they started doing that. This is actually when they first started that. So
okay, and then here's one that's a business and finance, special graphics, and then I was looking through my box, and then of course I came to this one, which was the Dragon one. It's like, oh, wait a minute. This said volume 2, number 5, and this said number 7. It's like, well, wait a minute. Am I missing one? I thought I had a full set, and so I'm digging around, and I couldn't find that I had number December? 6. Yeah, so I couldn't find that I had it, and so I was digging around. It's like, surely I have it. I thought I had a complete collection, and so I went out onto the Color Computer Archive to see what the cover looked like, and I'm looking, and it's like, you know what? I don't think I have it. And so out of just curiosity, I went to my good old friend eBay, and wouldn't you know, the very first thing that popped up was a single issue of number 6. So now I think I have a complete collection of so I got number 6 here. This one looks like it's the holiday music edition here. So so yeah, so now I got so I just recently got this one here and added that to my collection. So now I think I may have a complete set of Rainbow. I'm not sure from the beginning all the way to
there is an issue in June that is, or sorry, June in 1983 that is missing. I think it's May, but that's because they skipped a month on the cover. Okay. And that's because on newsstands you have to put them out, like, basically once the month's over they'll send them back. And because Rainbow was publishing like in the second half of the month, they'd be on the newsstand for like a week, 2 weeks, and then they get sent back. So they do what all magazine publishers do. They put the cover date like a month early so that they would put the May one out in April, for example, so it could stay on the newsstand for a full month and a half.
Okay.
And they explained that in the editorial from Lonnie Falk, but pretty well all big magazines have to do that. But yeah, you'll find one missing in 1983, which confused me for a while too.
So I was happy to add that to to my collection. The next thing I was going to show you here, let's see here. I thought I had it up on the table already, but I did not. So give me 1 second. It's just underneath the table here. So a few months back here, I had shown you guys this thing here. Do you guys remember what this was?
Hard drive controller of some sort?
Yeah. Yep.
ST509.
The PDP, excuse me, try to get those letters. It's the PDP8, and it's an FM drive emulator. And so you can plug the cables in here, and then these edge ones would go to your drive, and then you can, through the interface, you can either telnet to it or go through through a serial connection, and you can then talk to a drive that you maybe want to pull an image from to back it up. But then it has an SD card on the BeagleBone down here, and then you can reverse the connectors to here, and you can get this to act as the MFM drive without having to use a physical spinning drive. The creator of this makes available the file to 3D print, and I had been working with Paul Fiscarelli, and so Paul was very nice enough, and he printed this up for me. And I received this the other day. So this little chassis here that I was able to mount it on, so it keeps it suspended. You can see they have this bank of capacitors underneath the bottom here, and so there was really no way of setting this thing without it teeter-tottering. It's designed with the screw holes here where they would match up in a drive chassis, so you could mount this in a drive if you wanted to. But if you're using it externally like this, so yeah, he printed that up for me and sent that to me here the other day. So that was really nice of him. So it makes it a little more stable when using it. But in the box, he had a little extra present here for me. Come on. Uh-oh. Not falling out of the box here. There we go. Was this. And some floppy disks here. So it's color Lisp, I guess maybe how you pronounce it, LISP.
Yeah, it's a programming language.
Yeah, and so he sent this to me and he goes, I bet you don't have this in your collection. And he was right. I did not have this in my collection. And so he sent me this as a gift there. So that was appreciated. Along with the cassette and the floppy that goes with it. I asked him a little bit about this, and let me I don't want to get this wrong here. So a couple years ago, you guys remember Paul had that one large collection that he shared with us. He had a series of boxes and tubs of a large collection that he picked up, and this was in that collection. This was the guy who was the owner of Frostbite, and he had passed away due to Alzheimer's, and this is part of that collection that he picked up. And so he's still working through all that himself and archiving things. And so he sent this to me to be. I think he may have archived it. I'm not sure. If not, I'll be archiving it because I'm not sure if this is out on the archive or not. But I just wanted to say thanks for that. And so I haven't had a chance to really read it there. But you said it was a programming language.
Yep.
Yep.
And I would very much be interested in seeing that on the archive so I can play with it. Lisp is a programming language that that is supposedly similar to Scheme, and I haven't really played with it, but it looks interesting enough in its syntax that it'll break people's brains, and I like having my brain broken like that.
That's why you like Fourth. No, I'm just kidding.
I remember years
well, I
ago
think in RPN, so.
I remember years ago somebody said that Lisp stands for lots of insensitive and silly parentheses.
Well, Lisp is I believe it's a functional paradigm, and its entire idea is that you're processing lists and everything is immutable. So you have to pass it the value, and then you have to take the return value to do something like that. So you're dealing with like function composition and things. All those parentheses are there because you have to put parens around like orders of operation. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, I'll be adding that to my my list of archival things there. So thanks again, Paul. Okay, so onward here. I can't remember if I showed this or not, but part of this stuff that I've been getting recently have all come from a particular seller here, which I'll talk about in a little bit though. But one of the manuals in there was Oracle 2 by Magic. This is just the manual for it. And I think this might be out on the archive, but again, I like the original manuals. So this came with a group of
what is it?
Was that Oracle?
What is it?
It'd be a database type program. if I remember right.
Right.
So, yep. Let's see here. I can't remember if I showed. Did I show this one here last week? Did I show this one here? The graphics oriented assembly language and manual.
No.
Focus.
I think
No.
so.
Okay. So
I think we talked about it because somebody was offering it on Facebook, wasn't that? Like I do remember seeing mention of it, but I don't think you actually showed it.
Okay.
I would have remembered GOAL as an acronym. So.
Oh, okay. So I got the disc with it and the manual here that goes with it though. So
yeah, I do remember this. This was something that somebody posted on Facebook that they were going to sell, I believe.
Okay.
And, or they'd linked to an eBay that was selling it, and basically it's a set of machine language utility routines that you can call for doing a whole bunch of graphic stuff faster, much faster than BASIC does, and you don't have to write the routines yourself; they're all there. So I'd be interested to see how extensive this is, and it's Coco 3, if I remember correctly.
So what says on the cover?
Yep.
So this
And quite a late edition too, like 91 or something like that, if I remember.
So this mystery seller on eBay, have you just offered him one price for everything he's got?
If I could have, I would have. Yes, and and when I get done showing a few things here, I will. I'm going to expand on that a little bit there. But I think you and I we were chatting on the side here a little bit, Curtis, one time. I think you remember this ACE, this American Computing Equipment.
Yeah, I did remember the ad, but I couldn't remember any specifics on this one. And it spells out GOAL, GOAL.
Okay.
That's the
okay. Yep.
acronym for it. But it looked pretty interesting because they're mentioning like some of the routines are like 100 times faster than basics and stuff. And if you're in a assembly language program and you want to call routines without having to actually write them all, it's basically just a whole bunch of JSRs to these things, and you can pretty well write a pretty decent game in it.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's see here, and I think let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to set this aside for just 1 second. There's something in here that I wanted to share there. Which reminds me, where'd that
Besides the original sales certificate?
Yeah, that's what I was going to show there. So here's another just another disc. The name kind of caught my eye though. It's a Deluxe Terminal, 128 and 512K Coco 3 disc version. By
Is
Bill,
that CoCoNation? Can't quite see.
Or is that Ron? Did Ron?
No,
write
Bill Vergana.
Vergona? Yeah, that's CoCoNation out of Las Vegas, I believe.
Okay.
That's their Coco 3 terminal program, if I remember.
Okay. And then something I may need to use here to tally up everything, but here's accounting level 2.
Is this the one you used, Rick?
Did you use this one, Rick?
No.
Okay.
I have met the author, though. Chris Decker's a fellow Canuck from down east, not too far from Jim Gary, actually. And he did Basic Boost and Run Boost. He wrote articles for World of 6 to 8 Micros, and he was a pretty avid level 2 guy. And he did quite a few pretty interesting things back in the day, including a serial port transfer protocol that ran at 57K way back in like 1990, way before DriveWire.
That's saying Coco Pro.
Yeah, Chris Decker had his own company that he sold stuff, but Coco Pro distributed it. Of course, the Coco Pro is the guys who actually kept CoCofest going after Rainbow pulled out.
Okay.
Dave Myers and Nancy Myers were the people running that.
That's not how I know how to pronounce Ypsilanti.
Yeah, from Michigan.
I wonder if Dave and Nancy are still around, actually. Has anybody ever tried contacting him? I haven't seen them since the early 90s, so.
Right.
Let's see here. Sorry about the dead screen there. I was just turning around here to find something real quick here, and it's not popping out at me here. Okay, the next thing here, I'm drawing a blank on their names here, but we had them. I think we had them on the show. I think it was the two boys, the two guys that when they were in high school, they put together this magazine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wasn't that the two guys that we had on the show here?
Yeah, we had them on the show. Yep.
Yeah. Now these, unfortunately, these are just copies though, but still, I found it kind of interesting the care that they took here. They put tape, they stapled it together and they put tape to kind of reinforce the binding a little bit. This isn't all the issues, This is volume. I think this is just the first part of the first year that they did. No, it gets into the second volume here. So this isn't all of them, but this was out there also. But I thought was kind of interesting here. Original copy to be borrowed only 30 cents per day. So you could rent it
They
out
had the
there.
subscription model going way before the internet
Oh,
people
yeah.
started doing it.
So, but yeah, that was the two guys, didn't they? If I remember, weren't they doing this in high school? It's kind of started out.
Yeah,
as
they
a
started in
project.
high school in grade, oh God, what was it, grade 9 or 10 or something like that? Like it's
Yeah.
pretty young. And they ended up, doing it for multiple years. And then when they got to college, they eventually got too busy to keep it up, so they stopped. But they ran it for a few years. They're all standing on in the archive. So
Yep.
And of course, we did an interview with both of them too, if you guys want to go back and check that out.
So something I didn't have the manual for, but it's out on the archive though. But this was the DMC floppy disk controller, done by Sardis.
Yes, that's one Bill Noble had and loved.
Yeah, this was like the no halt, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a full no halt, but it had a large cache.
Mm-hmm.
So it had by default it had an 8K cache. Like the Disto had a 256 byte cache, enough to hold one CoCo sector. This thing could like read an entire track in its cache, and you could expand the cache to 32K. So it almost became like Apple did those fusion drives where they had like 128 meg SSD at super high speed, and then a regular hard drive for a terabyte or something like that, and it would do the buffer the stuff on the SSD so that everything ran at SSD speeds until you eventually had to flush out something new. That was kind of what this did for CoCo floppies.
Okay.
Way back in the late 80s. Out of all the floppy drive interfaces, if you wanted the one that gave you the most no halt and the most advanced and the quickest, this is it.
Boy, they didn't spare any staples on that one.
Nope.
This is another Canuck company too, by the way.
Yeah, I was looking for it here. I thought I had it handy here. I was just going to show you. I actually have one of the controllers, but why is it not jumping out at me real quick here? I thought I had it handy here.
It's hiding.
It is. I didn't come fully prepared again here.
Yeah. While you're looking, though, I will mention there was another Canuck that helped them. I worked with Sardis quite closely that wrote the drivers for it. And they actually wrote the MSF file manager, which means you can read MS-DOS disks or write to MS-DOS disks or format them or whatever else on the CoCo under OS9. And you could run them both simultaneously. So you could just swap a floppy. And if you only had one drive, this could be like an OS9 floppy, you copy some stuff onto a RAM drive and then swap the disk to an MS-DOS one, formatted, save it as a DOS 3.3 file, and then hand it over to a PC.
Okay.
So they were pretty good with some of the utilities.
And
drivers.
here's my controller, the DMC controller.
Mm-hmm.
And the serial number. And I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Is it David? Dave
Weens.
Yep. And he still has a website and a contact information. And I contacted him. And I'm not sure what inspired me to ask if he still had any information on this. And he said, well, better yet, he goes, I can even, so he sent me a scanned copy of the receipt for this one serial number right here. He had this on file still. So here's the receipt for the person that bought it here. He blurred it out though, but it was, you can see the purchase date back in 88 and, had the serial number on it, and Canadian dollars was 213 at the time, almost $214. So
yeah, it wasn't the cheapest controller, I will say that, but it was by far the most powerful.
And what immediately comes to mind is Run DMC.
Yes. All right.
Or DeLoreans. Yeah.
Right. They must have gotten cheaper, or maybe there's different versions, because inside this manual was the receipt. Now this is a different person here. This is some Nick guy here, but at that time, let's see here. This would have been an 88. This is an 88.
There was two versions. It's the 8K cache version and the 32K cache version. And there was a price difference because it's static RAM, if I remember, which at the time was quite expensive.
Well, this one says 32. Oh, and cache RAM option for level 2. And this one here says RAM and level 1 software. So they both did the 32K, and these were actually purchased. This whoever had this one. Now this didn't have the controller. This was just whoever bought this one versus this person here. But they paid $213, and the level 1 version was only $147.
That could have
So-
just been how crappy the Canadian dollar was doing at that particular time. I seem to recall it was pretty bad.
But look at interesting here. So this one here was purchased in March 7th in 88 with serial number 1169. This one was purchased the next month, almost not even barely a little more than a month, about a month and a half later, and its serial number was 1178. So not much far apart, like 20 of them difference, 19 of them difference. So kind of interesting.
This is why the 80s called.
That's right. So anyway,
I don't remember what serial number Bill had, but I know he loved that thing.
Wasn't
still
the
have it?
Disto controller real good at being fast?
It was, but it was limited to a single sector cache, whereas this thing, like I said, could bulk do entire tracks. So it was much faster for, say, going through a directory and it's trying to find the file. On the distant one, it would read in, I think, 8 file names. And if it didn't happen to be that one, it'd have to go physically read it from the disk again, whereas this Artis DMC would actually just read the whole directory in one shot, and then you just go through it in RAM. And it
Wasn't
had
the,
write caching too. So writing was pretty well instantaneous if the file was under 32K, if you had the 32K model. It would write it to the RAM, and then the control would write it out while you're doing other stuff. So it was a lot better at multitasking too.
Wasn't the Eliminator also one of the
The Eliminator was another no-halt. I mean, there's a few of them, but the Eliminator didn't have a cache that size either.
Oh, okay.
I think it might have had a. Actually, I don't even remember if it had a cache. Oh, it must have. I think it had a 1K cache, enough to hold one large 1K sector, but still not anywhere near the size of the Artis DMC.
Right. Okay. The next couple things here. Ooh, got a little bendage going on here. Something was not packaged very well. Ooh. I'm going to spend some time straightening that out a little bit. Also, a couple. I still like the hardware. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here.
That a RAM upgrade?
That
Yeah.
looks like a Disto.
Performance
Oh,
for
PP.
Yep. So this was their 512K memory upgrade here. They all were kind of the same. A lot of it's just different arrangements of chips and stuff like that.
There was the one that had those weird sideways chips with the pins going off
Oh,
at
the
weird
zip-
angles
the
into the
zip.
board.
Yep. It used the like stick memory. Is that what
No,
you're
not
talking about?
Sims. It was actually individual chips like this, except the chips were weird. Like the pins all
Oh,
came
the
out on sideways or
zip.
something.
The
I think
zip
you're on
chip.
SIP. Or
Yeah,
SIP.
there, SIP, right.
Zip.
Thank you.
Single inline.
Inline, yes.
I can't remember which manufacturer did that, but one of them did.
I used to have one of those.
Let's see here. Yeah, I'll dig. I know what you're talking about. I can pull that one out. So here's one here. Here's the Disto one. I also received
Okay,
this one
yeah.
here. So here was the Disto one there, and you can see they're kind of a little,
Yeah, they're pretty
again,
close.
just similar arrangements, of the chips there. Let me just reach over here, Curtis.
And on the Disto, the 1 meg was basically stacked 2 of those boards on top of each other. Man, did that generate heat.
Right?
Let's see here.
Plus, it wouldn't quite fit in the case all that easy either.
Let me
Was the
see here. I know-
performance peripherals considered slower?
No, they're having
the
on the
same.
speed of the RAM chips, which are usually around 120 nanosecond. I think they pretty well all use the same.
Okay.
Right.
I'm just looking here real quick, Curtis. I think I have that one that you're referring to that had
It was
the.
Actually, I think the
Yep.
performance peripheral one was the long board. You actually had to pull on if it was by itself. You had to pull the modulator out. But if you had it on top of another 512, then it would clear it.
Okay. So here's the one I think here. This is by is it Hemphill Electronics?
Hemphill Electronics?
Yep. So is this the one here?
Yeah.
So you can see what's kind of odd is that it goes in this way. So all you see is the solder on top. The chips are actually hanging from the bottom.
That's what
Yeah.
Tandy
And they're
did,
edge
so they
on
could-
compared to what you're used to.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what Tandy did, so they could wave solder the whole thing at once.
The
Yeah, those
Tandy,
edge-on chips are weird.
the Tandy one had a silver cover over the top, and it was like a AXX on the top.
Yeah,
I have one of them.
it was a service part, and
There was
that was
actually
the
two.
shield.
There were at least two different ones because I have two different AXX 512K upgrade numbers. But there may be another one.
So what Ron's talking about is this one here. This is the
No.
Tandy one.
Mine doesn't look like that. Well,
Yours
it's
doesn't look
similar,
like
but
But
There's,
it's one of the
there's
versions
two.
then.
Like I say, there's two of those.
that might be the second one.
This one says Rev A, so I guess we'd have to see what the other one's
Right.
labeled as Rev B, or unless Mark remembers, he's in the chat, so he can, if he remembers, he can tell us.
Let's see here. Oops. Trying to slide this back into the bag here. Gonna hold my tongue at the right angle. There we go.
I'm just surprised Radio Shack, I mean, they sold the 512K upgrade and advertised it right when the Coco 3 was launched, but they never sold a Coco 3 with 512 officially as a
Oh, it was always just
in the box.
it was
They
an option
never
there.
even had a regular part number. It was always the AXX
Well,
weird thing.
service had to install it, so
So that's why.
it was sold as a service part.
Okay, let's see here. So let's see. Do I have anything else I want to show? So to kind of wrap it up here a little bit, and this is kind of a shout out to anybody that's been buying anything lately on eBay for the past 2 months. There's a eBay seller out there called Commanderscott, and he's an e-waste person, and he comes across some of the stuff I don't know, but if you have bought anything from CommanderScott, please take a moment to look and see if what you have is on the archive or share it. There is an awful lot of things, and so I'm going to mention a guy's name here, and some of you'll probably remember. Let me zoom in just a little bit here. Let's see if this focuses. Focus. Is it going to focus here? Not today. Not today.
There we go.
There we go. So the name right there, Terry Laraway. Does anybody remember that name besides Curtis? No?
Rick, I thought you would. Oh, maybe Rick stepped away.
Well, there's his credit card number.
Was that? Yes. Yeah, right. So, there it appears here. Let's see here. Where's the? I have another example here.
You think his
So,
estate
a
went
lot-
to e-waste?
A lot of this stuff here that I've been showing you over the past 3 or 4 weeks have all come from this e-waste, and I'm finding more and more references, floppy disks, invoices, receipts that have Terry Laraway. Terry Laraway, let's see here. I don't know if I had that handy or not, Curtis here. Let's see here. I should have had that open. Don't switch device on me here. Let's see here. Let me see if I can do this real quick without having to blow up my.
He's probably in my customer list from the old Connect. That's how
Yeah, he
familiar
probably
that
was,
name
but
is.
he was also
He was
a
everywhere.
seller
right?
himself. So
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Washington State.
It's from the Washington area here. Let's see here.
Brian, I'm sorry to interrupt. What was the name of that seller again?
CommanderScott.
You know, this guy's one letter off from being Terry Layaway.
Right.
Let's see here. Oh boy, this is not popping up on my screen here, folks.
My high
Here.
school coach had that last name.
Here we go. Where'd it go? Here we go. Okay, let me see if this will work. I don't know if this is gonna break things here or not. Share my screen here real quick if I can get it. Share. I think this is it. Okay, is that coming through?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so there was a company out there called Small Graphics Inc., and you can see here they sold different things here back in the day. There's like some Y cables, rainbow 40 wire ribbon cable, 6309 processors and sockets, 512K upgrades, MPI upgrades, serial to parallel converters, 2400 baud modems. So he ran this company, and so he must have either been a collector or got some other acquisitions. Some people donated some stuff to him. Not sure, but his name is popping up through anywhere. So yeah, anybody that maybe has bought anything from this Commander Scott over the past few months, it's very likely that this came from Terry Laraway. Now, Curtis and I have been kind of looking a little bit, and we can't really find anything about him. There is a Terry K. Laraway that we found out there on the internet, and the address actually matches up with some of the receipts that I've found. So we feel like, okay, this is the right person, but we can't find anything more out about it. Did he just get rid of some stuff, not knowing that didn't think there was any value and just wanted to e-waste it because he's cleaning out the garage? Did he pass away? Not sure.
So my impression is this guy had the company to buy more Coco stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like me. The only reason that I have Connect is so I can buy every Coco thing I ever see, and it's not a personal,
right,
attack against my finances. And I think this was the same kind of guy. So he probably owned everything that ever existed.
Yeah.
Like you.
By the way, William Athing in the chat is saying, I bought a bunch of stuff from Commander Scott, including a Coco 3, a bunch of carts for the Coco, and a VIC-20.
Okay. Yep.
Nice.
So, yeah, let me stop.
Well, maybe he's into Commodore stuff.
He has everything out there. I mean, medical equipment. I mean, anything that's considered e-waste. I think he tries to sell it first before he actually scraps it. So, I mean, you'll see IBM stuff there. You'll see Commodore stuff there. You'll see Apple stuff. You'll see TRS80 stuff, Coco stuff. A few days ago, he had some, what's those machines, those high pressure steam things that they use like at medical clinics to sterilize.
Clavitron.
Autoclaves.
Yeah, autoclaves. Yes. Yeah, he had a series of autoclaves there. So I mean,
here we go.
It's across
Flux capacitor.
right. And so, but anyway, yeah. So he's he just gets a lot of stuff out there, and anyway, I'm sure right now half the people listening to the show right now are probably saving him as a seller. So I just probably gave away one of my little source secrets, I guess. But I don't. That's fine. I'm only bringing it up because anybody who has bought anything that seemed kind of unusual or rare, because this guy had so much stuff, and when I say this guy, I'm referring to Terry, that it's possible you might have something that's not on the archive, and to take the time to image a disc, scan the manual, something like that, and add some stuff. Because like Brick was saying, back in the day, the company gave him the resources to acquire stuff. And so he may have just been scooping up everything that he could. Or if he was a vendor, there might have been other vendors that were, maybe selling him, sending him sample stuff that to maybe have him sell through his store. So he may have just had different avenues for coming across things, and may have had access to things that maybe just never got mainstream to be sold. And so you see all this little one-off stuff that maybe you only saw in an ad. So anyway,
he was definitely a vendor. He advertised in World of 6-8 Micros, which is Frank Swaggart's magazine, Six-Seated Rainbow.
Okay.
For several years, the same time that Rick Seulin's OS9 column was in there.
Okay.
Which is why I was pretty sure he would recognize the name.
Right. So, but like I said, I'm finding floppy disks that have his name on it, and different things. So I think this stuff was Terry's, but unfortunately, we don't have any history as to.
What was his name? Terrence, maybe.
Like I said, I did find I think Curtis also found it too. A Terry K. Laraway, and the address that popped up on the internet was the exact same address that I saw on a lot of the receipts, his home address. So I think we have the right one. So
it's different than the one you saw in the ad there. So he moved in the meantime.
Right.
I should also mention that I think Terry was an exhibitor at the Pacific Northwest CoCofest, which was in Washington State as well. It's one where Chris Burke, Bill Noble, Wes Gale of Gale Force Enterprises, and some others. There's actually some newsletters and stuff that did reviews of that particular show. And I think it actually went for a couple of years. So he was right in the area. That's where he lived. It was by Spectral Associates, pretty close by too.
Okay. Yep.
And from what I've seen on the internet, I've been trying to see, has there been an obituary mentioned? I haven't seen anything about that, but there is one place that claims that there's an 81-year-old Terry Laraway still alive in Washington State, which might be the same guy, but I don't know.
But I was just thinking about what Ron just said, like maybe everybody in the public knew him as Terry, but maybe his real name was Terrence, and that's why maybe we're not finding it. So maybe able to. I had to take a moment there to think about what you said, Ron, but that might be an option.
Yeah,
to look
because
for too.
most people named Terry are actually Terrence.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good point.
Yep, that is
good point.
Taking a quick look on eBay on Commander Scott's page, and he's got MFM hard drives. He's got old Radio Shack components, just from the pegboard stuff. All kinds of individual circuit boards, floppy disks, books.
I love these guys.
So there's a zip drive. He's got a zip drive there.
Well, yeah, he is. It's all across the board. Yeah, I mean, he's always getting stuff in and everything, and he's a very, very easy seller to work with. If you buy something right now, you do the buy now price, or you make him an offer. Especially if you make him an offer. If something's listed for $9.99 and you just say, I'll give you $10.99 for it, he's probably going to reject it. But if he has it listed for $10 and you give him an offer of $15, he's probably going to accept it. If you do a bunch of buy now or making offers, it's a little bit harder for him, or he seems to be a little less willing to combine shipping. But if you win auctions and you have 2 or 3 auctions in there, especially if you have a couple that are lined up where maybe you have a couple that are going to be ending within a couple hours or within the same day or a couple days. If you win one auction and you want to wait and see if you win a couple of the other auctions, if you just send him a little message and say, hey, I got a couple other auctions I'm looking at, can I hold off on paying it? He'll say yes. And then the good thing about it is once you've won those auctions, just leave them in the cart and wait for him and send him a message, and he'll invoice it and combine the shipping for you, and he'll give a really reasonable, and you'll save a whole bunch of money on the auctions. But if you do a pay now, he seems to be a little less reluctant to try to refund you the money. But if you let him set in your cart and then message him, he'll combine and send you an invoice, and he's really easy to work with from that aspect. But he's been very responsive. Him and I have chatted a lot, and but yeah, when I saw the stuff start coming in, yeah, I was certainly tempted. It's like, yeah, can you just throw this all in a box and make me an offer, and I'll just buy all and everything, because especially like a month and a half ago, oh my gosh, I was just like every day there was like 10 or 15 new Coco things that he was rolling out, and it's like, stop it, because I want it all, and I couldn't buy it all. But so there's a lot of people out there that I know have bought a lot of things that he was selling out there, like William mentioned a little while ago. He picked up some stuff, and I know there's a lot of other people too that have that got some things. So yeah.
Hey Ron, I found something for you.
What?
An AM radio out of a '67 Chevelle El Camino.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yes. Yeah. Recently, he about a week or so ago, he had a whole series of radios, car radios from the 70s and 60s and 50s.
Yeah, there's a 55 Chevy for $6.
That's about what they're worth.
Ron needs that radio from the Dodge Dart.
Yeah, there you go. Something interesting.
He's got some service manuals. The Model 4P service manual, Model 3 service manual. This is worth looking through. I don't think I need the dental vacuum, but
you never know.
That's worth looking at here. So we need him on the show.
Right, see if we can get him on the show. The last thing I'm going to mention here, and then I'll throw it back to you, Mark. There, for the virtual CoCofest, what do we want to say, Curtis? Can you help me out here a little bit? I'm trying to remember what we wanted to say a little bit. All of a sudden, I'm drawing.
It'll be at 3 of us. It'll be Brian, Paul Fiscarelli, and myself going into some digital archaeology.
Yeah, there we go. Digital archaeology. Cool. Trying to spit that out. So, yep. So we don't have a time slot yet though, but Marco will be reaching out to you there to pencil us in somewhere. But yeah, so we'll have a nice surprise there for that as well. Little teaser there for you. So
Okay.
Oh, look, Terrence Steggy is here. So appropriate.
Terry sneaking on us?
Yeah.
Yes, I appreciated that, Ronald, extremely well.
You're welcome.
Terry, did you hop in soon enough to hear why he said Terrence?
I did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there needs to be some context there.
Yeah, I'm going to block Brian. He has just named one of the great sources on eBay that now we're all going to have to fight.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, I was a little hesitant to do that though, but it was just I really wanted to make sure that people are archiving some of that stuff because it was such a wealth of stuff that was coming out of there that I'd hate to see any of it just go into the dark again. So.
And Brian didn't hit that buy everything button fast enough. So.
The buy everything button.
Did you come on to share some stuff with us, Terry?
Nope, I just had a free afternoon finally, so I thought I'd come on and see how it was. Happy birthday, Curtis, by the way. Belated, sorry.
Thanks. And also, you did get some collection stuff. You put up some of your Retro Tech Time videos recently, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I haven't had time to really go into detail on that, but yeah, that's...
I've got your two videos queued up in the news, so we can kind of go through them if you're still on the call then.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
We were going to surprise Curtis with a happy birthday.
See, I'm just...
No, I already know it's my birthday. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
I saw you posted your Vader Coco and it made me feel good because I think that thing's awesome behind you there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's felt a little neglected lately. I haven't done a whole lot with it. So.
Well, if you wait long enough, some of us, the newer people, won't know that exists. So when you show it, it's like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's even got one of those rare Gimme X's in it.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. Poor thing, it's mad at me.
Is it having some issues?
No, he hasn't touched it.
I just, yeah. I haven't.
Oh, okay. Neglect. Okay.
Do you dust it off with the spray can?
Yep. I've got a Swiffer that I go over it with.
There you go. You talk to it a little bit.
That's right.
Right. Just let it know that there's a safe space over here that it won't be neglected if it needs to get away.
Yeah, my wife told me if you're not using this stuff, we should probably get rid of it. So I've been cycling through all kinds of programs, drives, cables, all kinds of stuff.
See, honey, I used everything this last couple weeks.
That's right. She can't complain at all. Well, he's using it, so what can I do? When you're married 50 years, you have tricks.
That's true.
Please don't play this to my wife.
Too late. This show is the secret revealing show, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, if you see
updates?
A bunch of Ron's garage stuff go up on sale, we're either divorced or I'm gone. I checked out.
Or she heard this.
Or yeah.
Right.
Anyway, Mark was asking, has anybody else got anything to present? Acquisitions, project updates, etc.
We're all stalled.
We have to start saving stuff for the big show in January, right?
I don't know. Brian, me, and Paul already have something ready to go. Well, not ready, but we'll have.
I just realized January is like 4 weeks from now.
Yeah, it's not like far away.
It's near the end of January, so you actually got a bit more time than that. About 7 or 8 weeks, I think. But Marco, is he still on the call?
He is, but he stepped away.
He escaped.
He's busy ordering all that stuff from.
Right.
He's hammering on that microphone.
All right, so
Because I think he does have some other ones lined up. Since we were talking about the virtual fest, I thought he might as well, plug it right now and then mention what he's got booked.
Hey, Mark B, I know of an update.
Okay.
Curtis, he's a year older now.
Yes, he just
more than that now. It's
Yeah. So should we sing happy birthday to him?
I've heard you guys try to sing before, and no thanks.
Yeah, but see, we got Nick here now, so we can pull this off.
There's that mute button again.
He's another year older, and by now he should learn to solder.
Nope.
So
okay.
But yeah, I wanted to say happy birthday, Curtis. It's good to have you for another year, and you are one.
Only a year.
Well, for another year. I mean, you're one of the
last annual Curtis
CoCoNation going, and wanted to say how much I and I'm sure others appreciate you being here and sharing your knowledge and wealth of history in the Coco community.
Yeah, sometimes I even get it right too. So that's
Curtis,
nice.
you're the only one that can make us all nervous because you come in and check in 2 minutes before the show starts. But you're always prepared, and we're all sitting here going, "Well, who's going to do it? I don't know. I can't
Ron, honestly, that's because of all you guys. Because I'll be going, I'll check the last minute. Is there anything else on Facebook or YouTube? A little update. Maybe I'll catch one, right as it's being announced by somebody. And all of a sudden, there's like 5 of them. So I'm scrambling to load them all into my notes and load all the pages up. That's why I'm always late.
So we get the simultaneous Discord update, and you come on to the stream at the same time.
You guys are updated on the Discord literally within 30 seconds of me getting updated. So
Up to the minute news with L Curtis Boyle.
Yeah.
So, but
so thank you guys for doing stuff and posting stuff and talking about stuff that fills the news every week. I'd be a pretty short segment otherwise.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing your job here at the premium price of $0.
Yes, and we'll pay you twice as much easily.
Yeah. Well, as long as I get to continuously razz Nick over his various versions of Neutroid, that's pay enough.
Yeah, let's vote on a pay raise right now.
triple
20% increase in your pay.
Yeah. Apparently, it all went to my gut here after eating all the desserts on my birthday. But
right.
All right. Did you hear that, Mark? Curtis gets a 20% pay raise.
He does?
Yeah, I want to record that in the minutes.
Okay.
And now that you're back, Mark, you can plug the virtual fest here, because we were just talking about the fact that Paul, Brian, and I are going to do one on digital archaeology. And that's all we're going to mention for so far. So that's a for sure. I don't know. We don't have a time booked yet, but I think you said you had some others that were.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was just going through the list of people and times. Let me pull up my spreadsheet here. Where to go?
Were you going to share with us what an Oberholzer is?
The Oberholzer?
Yes.
He's the King's Woodman. He's the King's Woodsman. So head of the forester.
Better than the Underholzers, eh?
Yep, exactly. So far, who I have slotted into some time slots, and I do need to get some confirmation back from a couple people, but I have 3 people so far that have committed. Peter Satinsky of the Trash Talkers wants to do a presentation on, I don't remember which device it is. It's kind of an interesting one, though, but it'll be a non-color computer thing. And that'll be basically at 1300 Eastern Time, which would be 1800 UTC. Henry Strickland is going to do a presentation on his stuff. He said he wanted the last slot, which is going to be pretty late, 3 a.m. Sunday for UTC, but it'll be 10 p.m. Maybe he'll back it up. We'll see. Eastern Time. So he's West Coast, so like I am. So it'll be in the evening for us. And then RetroStack. He has a what does he have? My emails here. Unfortunately, most of the stuff I'm not familiar with, so it makes it harder to know what all people are doing.
So are you getting more like the other TRS80s? Like we've expanded this fest this year?
So RetroStack info is going to be Model 1, and Looks like Peter's is going to be. This is one here. There we go. Tandy 10. So yeah, Tandy.
That'll be a
10,
cool one. That's an extremely rare machine, and he actually managed to pick up an entire system,
working system,
including the built-in desk and stuff.
Oh wow, would be cool. Business system.
Filled an entire pallet. I think there's only 200 made or 100 made or something like that too. So
Strick's going to be presenting as a TFR 9 6309 modern retro system. So and Nitrous 09.
The Model 2 had a desk that you could get with it.
Yeah, I remember.
Size where the drive bay.
Yeah, I think they actually got the inspiration to do that from the Model 10 because that came out the year before the Model 2, if I remember, 78 and 79. Because I think this Model 2 is 79.
Well, let me tell you, it made it real fun for servicing.
I bet.
Especially those big 8-inch drives, 3 bays built in the desk.
That was heavy because you had to take that whole thing out as one unit to get it on the desk. You could even open it up and get
Work
at
on
it.
Nice.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't watch it, if you watched the last Trash Talk live show that a few of us, including Henry, guested on, Peter actually shows some photos of it loaded on the pallet and then taken off, so you can kind of see it and into the card cages and stuff like that. So if you want to get a bit of a preview of that talk, go check out the last episode on YouTube.
I really hope he brings it to one of the shows. I mean, that will be just amazing to see.
Yeah, I think he's kind of leery on doing that though because it's so rare.
Yeah.
And it's a bit heavy.
Plus, he has to like rent a U-Haul to haul it there. So
Yeah, the guy's standing in the display with the hoist controls hanging around his head.
What we do is we get some sponsorships together, have Usagi Electric ride in the back of the U-Haul to make sure it's all good.
That or a party at Peter's place. That would be another one.
Yeah, there we go. That'll work.
His whole basement's got a ton of stuff to look at, not just the Model 10.
What state's he in? Is he in Ohio?
I think he's in New York, isn't he?
He's close?
Yeah, he's on the East Coast. I know that.
All right. Well, that makes it easy.
Spot for the next show.
By the way, I have not talked to Peter about this at all, so don't assume you can go visit him on this.
Oh, no.
He's going to be surprised when people start showing up on his door.
Yeah, 150 people show up. Can we get our picture taken with the Model 10? It'd be like the Dino Wars poster at CoCofest.
On the East Coast?
Sorry, what? Sleepy?
You said who's on the East Coast?
Peter Satinsky, I think, is in New York State. I don't know whereabouts in, but
yeah, he's in New York State.
Well, there's a lot of New York State.
There is a lot of New York State.
Yeah, a lot of snow right now.
Yeah, but New York State is a lot closer than say Nebraska to the East Coast.
Or Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Or Australia.
Or Arizona.
Okay.
Going to be 79 today here, by the way.
79? Cold wave. Jeez.
We're at -4 right now, which I think is our hot for the day. -4 Fahrenheit, not Celsius.
Yeah, I'm about there. Oh, not Fahrenheit. -4 Celsius.
Yeah, we were -20 Fahrenheit as our high yesterday.
Oh, fine.
Yippee.
All right. Well, let's jump into commercials.
The sun is a lie.
I've updated the Patreon list, and I did find a couple people that were missing off the list. So should be complete now. So if you're not on the list and you're supposed to be, let me know. And we'll look into it further.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Taylor. We're watching the CoCoNation show. Yeah, we are. Woo! You should too.
Hello everyone, it's your good buddy, your good pal Amigo, and joined by that dastardly The Brent from ARG Presents.
You're watching CoCoNation. feel like they should have been longer.
The CoCoNation Show would like to thank the following patrons: AC's 8-Bit Zone, Alex Gare, Alan Huffman, Brendan Donahue, Brian Walsh, Brian Weasler, Kieran Anscombe, Coconut Bob, Daddy Burrito, David Ladd, Derek Smithson, Diego BF109, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Frederick Sagard, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Wabke, Grant Leedy, Henry Gernhardt, Henry Strickland, Jason Warrens, Jim Mullis, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Patrick Euland, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, R. Allen Murphy, Retro Tech Time, Richard Harding, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Batson, TJB Chris, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., William Athing. Thank you so much, patrons. If you would like to support the CoCoNation show, sign up at patreon.thecoconation.com.
Welcome to everybody's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord?
Joel V2.4771M.077 says, well, my name is Joel H. Had a Coco 1, 2, and eventually 3. Rode that education all the way to 40 years later, BS in computing sciences. I am really trying hard to not buy a Coco 3 to upgrade and play with. I don't have the time right now. I have VCC to mess with, and am working on trying to get an assembly language ready chip level build of a 6809 computer. The previous bios were edited for time. Thanks to Frederick Micro Hobbyist Sagard, Glenside Computer Club, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Tandy Color Computer 3, and the CoCoNation patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. Just go to discord.thecoconation.com.
See you on Discord.
Welcome everybody to the CoCoNation Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This week we played 3D Brickaway. We had a total of 11 players. We had Mark B with 600, Sloopy Malibu 900, Canadian Retro Things and Mark O tied with 1,000, Strychnine 1,100, Mike and Ed Rhodes tied with 1,300, Jim Rye and Retro Rick tied with 1,400, Leap 1,700, and this week's number one score is Dr. Ted with 2,200. Thanks everybody that played. We'll see you again next week.
Wow.
And the CoCoNation salutes Dr. Ted.
Salute! Should we just
change
the theme song? Dun, 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 Doctor.
Maybe I need a generic of the Buck Owens one that I can just voice over.
So you know it's a hard game when Dr. Ted only beats the next highest score by a couple hundred points.
By a little bit?
Normally, Dr. Ted's scores are like everybody else's scores combined still don't beat it.
Right.
Okay, so I found a couple of reviews for this game. We'll start with the Col.Comp.Magazine from May of '83, basically saying this is truly a good game. Try to keep the ball within the sights of your paddle, but that's not easy. And most of it's just talking about actually how to play the game. So Breakthrough simulates three-dimensional play without wearing the funny glasses. It's an enjoyable, fast, and fun game. So I think they enjoyed it. The other review is from Rainbow November 82. And they were not impressed with the original version of this game, Brit Monk's Breakaway. but they did think 3D Brickaway was as super as Brickaway was dull. So, which is kind of funny because actually, if you go back and read the Brickaway review, they make it sound like they really hated it, but they gave it kind of a neutral review. They just said it's another Breakout clone. And
yeah, and his original Brickaway was actually, I think it only required 4K. It's one of the very few games that did, and it's one of those missing ones we don't have.
Yeah. But I did find it kind of funny that they made it sound like that they incredibly hated it in the review that they did, and actually the review was just completely neutral, saying if you like these kind of games, you'll probably enjoy playing this one.
Yeah, it's a meh review.
They do think though that he should have named it 3D Handball rather than 3D Brickaway, because it's more like playing handball where you bounce off the ceiling and the walls and everything else. So
yeah, I do that with too much coffee, but
it's a great deal of fun, difficult to master. Their only complaint was that after each game, it plays a little tune, not once, but twice. So you have to wait quite a while to start another game. And gameplay itself is terrific. So they really did enjoy this one.
It's definitely a hard game.
It's a very hard game. And actually, it was only after I had already closed the thing and I was actually collecting footage for doing the video that I just realized something that would have made the game so much easier. Every time you finish a game, close it out and restart the program. Because for some strange reason, when you start a new game after you've already lost it, the ball starts on the same trajectory as the last game. So if it's bouncing wildly in the last game, it starts off bouncing wildly. But if you start a new game, it's a nice, slow, steady, straight shot down and straight back up. And so it's definitely a way that you can have way more control starting the game if you start it from a fresh program.
Oh, I don't remember doing that back in the day.
No, I noticed that I realized that afterwards that, yeah, if like it's coming at a wild angle when your game ends, as soon as you start it, it's continuing that wild angle. So he's not.
I remembered always going straight each game you started, like once you lost all the balls. So I'll have to see if the copy in the archives corrupted a bit or something.
No, because
they definitely didn't do that back in the day. I do remember that because I used to play it multiple times in a row and it always went to that straight.
Or maybe it's a VCC problem. Who knows?
Or XROR. XROR did the same thing.
Okay,
yeah, I'm guessing it's probably a corrupted archive copy. I didn't upload the archive copy, so mind you, they're all based on the same one. Ken Whatma or whatever his name there is become one of the biggest pirate distributors ever.
Anyway, other than that, yeah, you can attempt to try and keep the ball within your sights, but it's very hard.
The one secret I remember when I used to be pretty good at the game, and I didn't get a chance to play it here this last week because, well, everything went wrong with the house, but is that you try to always catch it in the middle of the paddle or as close to the middle as you can because you don't get wild angles then, and then you gradually go a little bit off center to shoot it a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right or a little bit up, and then you try to center it again, like hit it slightly on the other side, they straighten it back out, and then say, angle it so you're hitting up just a little bit. And if you do that methodically, you actually can clear off the entire thing. The hardest part is trying to hit like the last brick, because you have to get it exactly right to hit it. And of course, every once in a while you screw up and you hit it at, just the edge of your paddle, and then it goes all over the place like nuts.
That sounds really good in theory, but yeah, in practice.
Well, I've actually cleared boards on it back in the day. Like it wasn't super, super hard, but it was once you learn you have to keep it as centered as you can.
Mm-hmm. And you probably also had 30-year younger reflexes.
At least. Maybe 40.
So definitely a difficult game, but pretty impressive considering it's very early in the Coco's life that this game even came out.
Yeah, it came out like, was it October, November of 82? And then Avalon Hill liked it so much they picked it up by January of 83. There's a big announcement in Color Computer News because Britt was given permission by Avalon Hill that you have a month or two, you can sell signed copies of this game before we take it over. Then you're not allowed to sell it on your own anymore. You have to just get your royalties from Avalon Hill. And
So
he
has
did do that.
Has Brian found a signed copy of it yet?
No. Brian? Yeah, I don't know. I still haven't seen the Avalon Hill one. I've seen the manual and stuff for it. And of course, they ported it to the C64 later on and maybe some other machines.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never seen the original disc or anything. That Ken Watmow or whatever his name was, that it was licensed to, the original Brick Monk Direct version of it, is every copy I've ever seen is that same one.
So does anybody have any other tips or tricks for playing this game? I don't even think.
Poke? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, slow down poke would be really nice. But I don't think that not dying is even an option in this game.
No, just keep the ball going as at a gentle angle as you possibly can, even if it takes you longer. There's no time limit. So if you can keep it, as centered on the paddle as you can, if you're a little bit off, it'll just go at a slight angle, maybe take out another brick on the side or above or below or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be the best method to do it. And I have, like I said, completed a complete wall of bricks doing that multiple times back in the day.
Yeah. Back in the day. That's the...
I'm sure I can do it again.
Okay,
Given
yeah,
enough
sure.
time.
Well, you seem to have time right now. Let's boot it up and watch you play.
I can't. My joystick's broke.
Put it on.
This is not one you can play on keyboard and emulator. Sorry, there's no way.
Put it on an emulator and use a mouse. That's what I was doing.
I don't know. I can't operate games like that with the mouse. It actually is harder for me than doing the free float Black Beauty.
Sounds like a lot of excuses here.
Tell you what, we're gonna have a challenge here at the next CoCofest, man. You and me, head to head, 3D Brickaway. Let's go.
All right, and I can guarantee I'm not going to get a very good score. I'm not
I probably won't either.
I'm not the one that's saying, "Oh, I could probably."
If I can beat you by 100, I'll be happy.
I'll run a
But
book
it'll
on
be
it
fun.
for anyone. Yeah, I'll run a book on it for anyone who wants to bet.
I'll bring the popcorn.
Odds are 3-1 against the controllers. Living.
Maybe I'll bring my Wyco trackball. We can try with that. That'd be really hard.
Yeah. There we go. Just a light gun one where you move it around with the light gun, hold the trigger down and move the...
Now, I am curious about something about this. Since it was ported to the C64 later, you can actually find official ads. I've even seen video gameplay footage on YouTube. Didn't the Commodore have digital sticks? They didn't ever had analog?
They had paddles. Available.
They had
Oh, they had paddles? But you need two paddles at once to do both axes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that even be harder yet?
It would be like playing an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then we trying to draw a real picture and Etch-a-Sketch, know how well that works.
If you can use the paddles, the analog inputs, which are actually done on the SID chip, by the way, is where the paddles are read, then theoretically you could make a joystick, an XY joystick can just represent two paddles.
I mean, I'm just wondering if anybody's ever played it on the C64. Like, what is the experience like? Did they allow regular joysticks to use and you just move them left and right rather than jump instantly to wherever you're trying to go?
Probably. I'll have to look and see if I can find a copy of that.
Theoretically, I don't know if the games do this or not, but theoretically you could use the the switch joysticks as like a direction and then run an internal counter and then move stuff. It'd be like a PID process. Whereas you hold the thing to the right, then it starts incrementing right and accelerating the longer you go.
Yeah, if you have the acceleration routine on it, like some mouse drivers use the digital mice.
Yeah, I mean that'd be easy enough to do. So,
and just your control wouldn't be as finessed as a straight analog.
No.
Right.
Actually, Risk and Fractalus does that because they're emulating the Atari 8-bit machines on the Coco version. So they use the joystick call, read it in analog, translate that to digital, and then they go through this, like you said, futzing around with, you've had it to the right for 0.2 seconds. We have to add more to the acceleration on it here. And they had an analog joystick. All you had to do was just read it and go. I should fix that, actually, because it's probably speed things up a bit more.
You might.
All right, so... yeah, does anybody else have anything to say about 3D Brickaway?
Yeah, nope. I'm glad that's over.
Wait. Go ahead, Sloopy.
He said he's glad that's over.
Not a fan, were you?
I found it really futzy. Maybe it's just my copy on the Coco's free, but
it's a frustrating game. It's a
yeah
interesting game. It's a visually appealing
It's attractive.
game. It's
Yes.
just
Visually attractive.
very, very frustrating. Because so many times, you're trying to, and you're thinking the ball is already there, and then it bounces off the wall and goes beside your paddle, and it's like, oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely takes some finesse, and be patient. Don't try to like angle it at a weird angle to hit some bricks on the far side, even if it takes you like multiple times of just edging the joystick. 'Cause eventually, if you can get it going straight back and forth, where you don't move the stick at all, that's the best time, because then you can just move it one little, like you'll move your analog joystick until it just moves at one spot, and then you'll know that it's going to go out to that side just a little bit, and then you can kind of clean them out. But takes a lot of patience. And you can't screw up. Like if you accidentally bump the joystick or something like that, now it's off at a weird angle, then it's it's all over the darn place.
Then it goes ballistic, and it's like,
Yep.
And that's the other thing that's a bit annoying about it, is that when you lose a ball, it just starts a new ball on the same trajectory. So just same way it was doing it with the games. So it would have been nice.
I do remember that between balls, but the game itself, I distinctly remember it started over with that straight shot, just a little bit lower right or whatever it is. I'll have to check it.
Remembering wrong. It's just your memory.
It's possible.
Just remember how old you are, Curtis. You just turned even older. So,
right.
Hey, what? Where am I? What is the show I'm on?
1,000 points down the tubes.
But that was definitely one of the frustrating things, that in a game, if the ball started going off wild, it was staying wild. It would have been nice if it reset into the straight trajectory every ball.
Yeah, I would rather eat a piece of cheese than play that again.
What's wrong with cheese?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I've decided because 3D Brickaway is such an impressive game, we're going to do it for another 2 weeks.
Super cheese
Ken?
munch.
No.
Game On Challenge, a special Sloopy edition.
Yeah.
Ken?
The Matrix edition.
I'm thinking some very unladylike thoughts about you right now.
Yeah, most people always do.
Well, that's good, because he's a guy. So,
all right. So that was 3D Brickaway. I guess we won't play it again then.
Well, until we have our head-on challenge at the show.
So the other games that we played were Blockdown, which is a Tetris game by...
But a modern Tetris game. That's the
a
biggest thing to
modern
point
Tetris
out, that this is not the Tetris from 1980s that the
However,
previous Coco versions are. This is much more
It
modern.
actually has a lot of the original Tetris stuff in it that a lot of older games, when they were made, just skipped over and didn't do.
Such as?
When you get to the bottom of the screen, you've actually got a second, or like a beat before, when it hits the bottom, that you can actually move it left or right, move the piece.
I think doesn't the Tetris cartridge do that too? I know the OS9 one does.
Some versions do, some versions don't. I'm not saying that all versions don't have these things, but quite a few versions kind of left stuff like that out.
Yeah.
So.
Like one of the things I really like about Blockdown is the fact that it'll show you at the bottom where you're lining up and where it's going to fall, so you can kind of guide it much easier. That's one of my favorite parts of it. And if you ever tried it on 2 players, it's both players simultaneously on the same screen.
So you can mess with the other player. You can mess with the other player.
Yeah, just reach over and swat his joystick out of his hand or off the keyboard or whatever.
Or when he's going to put it into place, you can screw him over and put your block over there. But unfortunately, I have no friends, so I can't play 2 players. So, but yeah, definitely a good version of Tetris. And believe it or not, Mark B is actually getting some of the higher scores in this game.
Plus, we should mention too, because I think Sixie mentioned it last week, but if you have, I think it's the Game Master cartridge, one of the sound boards, it actually supports it, if I remember correctly. Sixie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it actually has support for the hardware.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw something about that.
Yeah, it's the EMC cartridge, I think it's called.
Yeah, Game Master cartridge. That's the one John Linville designed, I think. If I remember correctly. There's a PSG and the
Master?
GMC are the two main ones. I think it's the
PSG
GMC.
is Zipster. PSG is Zipster, and the GMC is John.
Yeah, the GMC.
It's the same one that's in the Tandy 1000 for sound. Same chip.
Yeah, because it plays music and stuff where it has better sound effects. I can't even remember what it does differently.
And because I wasn't here last week, we also chose a second game. Thanks, Sloopy.
Anytime.
And that one is Stellar Odyssey. So that is a port of Nick Morente's game from long ago that Jim Gary did.
Correct.
So it is an adventure game. And yeah, you just got to try to figure out how to think like an upside-down Australian.
Well, I think you and Henry were getting the gist of it after a bit there.
Yeah.
After a bit of a rough start.
Yes. I spent almost my entire 1,000 time points on the first level trying to figure out how to open the stupid door.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Well, I blame the author for using a word like key.
Everyone else understood it.
Once I pointed it out to them, yeah, they understood it.
Oh, key, as in key in a code.
Key in a code. Whereas I assumed that I had to find a key, and that was the thing to use, like a physical key.
Well, no, it's a key code.
Yeah, it's a key code. Once I started thinking like an Australian, I injected myself with some venom from a very poisonous snake, and it came to me.
Well,
how far did you get, Henry?
What's that?
How far did you get?
Oh, I got down into the. I got past the initial level. I got into the second one. I talked to the prisoner.
I got that far too.
I don't think I got beyond that. No, I didn't. I definitely didn't get beyond that level. There were a couple other things I saw, but that was really it.
Did you follow the maps that show you?
Yeah, and one of the spots that was supposed to have something fun in it, there was nothing there, but aliens kept cropping up.
Oh,
I think that was the fun. That was the fun.
You didn't
part.
find that fun?
It was irritating. The one up in the one up at. Oh, wait a minute. No,
top
the
center.
One up in the top
center.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
Or for you, Nick, that's the bottom center.
That's right. You just have to stand on your head. Yeah, I just got to check the map that I didn't do a mistake. That's all.
Yeah, I never found anything there either, other than lots of aliens.
Well, the aliens, yeah, are everywhere on level 2. How did you handle the aliens? Did you work out a strategy?
Shoot them, or run away, run off the screen if they're far enough away, so you don't waste your bullets.
That helps. Run.
Hit break, type in FI equals 99. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yep, that's one way to do it.
Don't do that if you're participating in the challenge.
One thing that is very few and far between in that game is any healing salves for or healing gel for your wounds. I don't think I ever came across it once.
I think it just randomly throws them in when it thinks you need it.
I was pretty hurting at one point in the game. Well, I think it was after we finished the thing. I played it a bit more, and yeah, I was at a point where every step I took, I had to rest for about 3 or 4 rounds to get low enough to actually move again.
Yeah, when your fatigue is really, when your health or whatever, fatigue or whatever I called it, is pretty high, yeah, you tire very quickly.
Yeah, well, this was just from my wounds. I had high enough wounds that every step I took made my fatigue go up by about 50 points.
Yeah, no, when you're wounded that bad, it doesn't make it easy. Did you save the game? Did you save?
That would have been a smart thing to do, but no.
Okay, well, that's
Henry, did you use save?
No, I did not use save.
That would have made things a bit easier.
Well,
How so?
however, I think it's going to be easier to play it again, and I won't start out with wasting as much time and doing stuff. I've streamlined that first level so I can get through it quickly. And
Yeah, the first level, once you work it out, that's more adventure than arcade game, that level. But yeah, number 2, save the moment you enter that level, and then just save when you progress a bit on and you got your wounds are at the minimum. So you just
save it again.
It's like playing Daggerath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Save, reload when it goes wrong.
Yep. Yeah, so it is sort of similar in that regard.
By the way, I got some comments on Blockdown here in the chat from Sixty himself. Lee Perkins had mentioned that he tried running it on his STC and a Coco 3 and it actually just crashed. And then 60 goes, well, first of all, he said the game's master cartridge, that is the John Linville one. Yes, either download the ROM if you have a dev kit, or Neil Blanchard may still sell you a copy in a box, etc., because he was selling box copies that included the sound chip, so you get the full effect. 60 said it plays music, and the music will change as you progress, which is kind of cool. And he also mentions that Lee Perkins, if it says Seismic Brains on the title screen, that's the old version. He said you should get the new one that says Type on Mency. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but basically he made a newer version that he said plays better too. So do you know what version you guys were playing?
I was playing the Taipan version.
Sure.
I haven't taken a look at the screenshots to see if maybe some people were playing the older one, but we should definitely recommend them to kick it up to the new one if that is the case.
Yeah, the Taipan version is in the Color Computer Archive. Or no.
I think so, yeah.
It's straight from its website, so I'm not sure what's in the Color Computer Archive.
Yeah, because I mean, 60 has his own, like where XOR and stuff is, and I think you can download from there.
Yep, that's where I put the link for people to get the game.
Yeah, the leaderboard score doesn't tell you which version you're running, so I can't tell the screenshots if anybody was running the older version.
I think the archive has the newer version on it.
I do know, like when Lee mentioned here that he played it, when he played it, he checked and it's the old version. So I'm not sure where he got it from, but
well, maybe they've updated the archive. He might have had an old SDC version.
That's possible. So if you have one that says Seismic Brains, go download the latest version, preferably probably from the Color Computer Archive, as well as
because I know mine definitely didn't say Seismic Brain. It had some like Gaelic word on it or something.
Gaelic name. The Color Computer Archive has the Taipan version.
Okay.
All right.
So just so people know that if they have the old version, if they had downloaded like one of those STC master copies of everything off the Color Computer Archive site, that might be out of date depending on when you download it. You might want to get the new one.
So this Thursday, one of the things that we can do during the live Game On Challenge is play Stellar Odyssey and all play it together and see if we can beat it. And help each other
have Nick ridicule you along the way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah,
and Nick, you've got to be there live to do the heckling. All right.
I'll try. It's just a bad time for me, but I'll give it a try.
Even if it's just audio, you can just pop in every once in a while and get, "You guys suck," and then pop off again for a bit.
Yep, pretty much.
I could just do pre-recorded heckling.
Yeah. Actually, we should just add his voice. Like we've got all those David Ladd sound effects. We should just add Nick's voice.
Yeah, the Nick soundboard.
The Nick soundboard.
Ken, that was a terrible move.
You would never.
You guys should be playing Neutroid
Australia.
instead. Yeah.
Australia would kill you. You suck.
You call yourself a games player?
By the way, 60 saying he might try to stay up late enough to join in himself because it is pretty late in the UK when our show's on. But
What do you mean? It's only 5 o'clock here.
he's what, 5 hours ahead or 6?
One of them.
8 hours ahead of
Ahead or
West Coast
behind?
people.
Ahead of the Eastern time zone?
I think he's
Five.
behind.
Western.
Five ahead of Eastern. 8 ahead.
Eight,
of Pacific.
eight ahead of Western. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning for him when the show starts.
Hey, Nick gets up at 3 in the morning every time to come on. So
He's retired too.
he's tired? Yeah, probably is.
No, I think we're tired of Neutroid versions.
By the way, 60 says I won't submit his score, though. I think he's saying he's going to kick everybody's ass.
Oh,
Dr. Ted, that sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, I would actually like to see 60. Can you beat Dr. Ted?
Do we need to dust off the floppy disks and run that other AI game player, Buck Owens, and see how he does?
Buck Owens versus Dr. Ted versus 60.
Well, Buck, I think, was the first one to finish Hero. So, I mean, yeah, he's still around for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Head to head to head.
Have you got the video from the game last week?
Oh yeah. I'm about to start that so that Sloopy can talk about it.
I can do my heckling now then.
Okay.
Never too late.
So I guess that brings up our live game on challenge from Thursday. Here we are.
Yes, it is. And this week was a really popular week. We had up to 7 people playing at once. We would have had 8 if they all played at once. But we had people coming and going. We did have, 11 people in the chat? Yep. So that begs the question, where were you? Why weren't you there? All you people out in viewer land.
And family over.
I was busy eating way too many desserts multiple times that day.
But sympathetic Thanksgiving?
No, my birthday.
Oh, your birthday. Okay.
Cake and more cake, and the cake's not a lie.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. I had several at different spots with different people. I had more sugary stuff than I had at Halloween.
And I'd like to thank Jim Gary for the conversion of my old 40-year-old game. He did a good job.
Yeah, just as frustrating as it was 40 years ago.
That was the test.
It continues the tradition of Neutroid.
That's right.
No, I don't. This is not nearly as frustrating as Neutroid.
It's not frustrating. It's challenging. You people are too used to easy games.
By the way, what is in the upper right corner there?
That's Erico's.
Erico.
So is that a game or what exactly is that? I've seen the animations before, but
I think it's an animation, isn't it?
It's his like chatbot type of thing where the bad guys are all talking to each other with random bits.
So is that plan on being made into a game at some point, or is it just more of a demo? Or
I think it's more of a demo at this point. He hasn't said anything about making a game out of it.
Some game author needs to hire him as their artist because
he has helped with that before with some other people.
But maybe he just wants to do the art, not the game. Someone should inquire. I'm already booked.
So, yeah, we should have him come on here and talk about it because it looks pretty good.
Yeah, well, I was trying to, he was at the Brazilian Retro SC show too, and I was trying to get him on during the Retro SC show itself a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately their bandwidth there wasn't that good, and they couldn't even get audio to work properly. But then I was thinking he was going to be on either last week or this week, and because he's been in the chat and stuff and been on Discord actively, and obviously he was on your Game On Challenge, but he hasn't been here yet. So I was hoping to get a full follow up.
Yeah.
I think we're up to the part where Ken was trying to work out how to open the door.
Yep,
On
that's
screen, He's standing there staring at the wall.
yeah, pretty much.
How long did you have?
Always
to
a good
stare?
strategy.
Honestly, I usually do that at home too. So
That's me during the entire show. I do like that lighting effect on that safe though that Erico did there, where the goes behind a safe or so whatever. That looks awesome. And considering how low res it is and how well it looks, yeah, he's amazing with that low res limited color stuff. Wow.
Here we go.
oh well, thanks for
Ken now.
highlighting me there, Sloopy, to show that I don't know what I'm doing.
Well,
Yeah,
you're still
that's how you
staring
got-
at the door, and it's working pretty.
No,
much.
that's Canadian retro things. You're Canadian retro things.
Hyped help. Oh, look. What's that? Come on, key. Ta-da! Oh, look at that.
He's just rubbing it in.
Wow.
By the way, Sixy on considering a Blockdown, he says, has anyone got to the 20G levels yet? I don't know what that refers to, but
God, no.
Yeah. What's that?
like, does that mean the 20th level? I'm presuming. I don't know what the G means, or maybe that's just a typo.
Yeah, I think my highest is like 9 or 10.
How far did Dr. Ted get on his screenshot? Or does it show you the level?
It shows a level. I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Wow, level 8.
I guess that's a no.
Right?
Nobody's hit 20 yet, so obviously 60 is going to be in the lead if he plays at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, because Coconut Bob's level 8, Mark B's at level 7. Oh, I got to level 11 with 92,000.
Yeah, I never was really good at Tetris, so this is one you guys are all going to kick my butt completely if I get a chance to do, which I'm hoping I will. If stuff in my house quits breaking down.
I got to level 6.
Yeah, it seems that TJB Chris is the highest with 97,000. And
What
that
level did he
was-
get to?
Let's see here. That looks like level 10.
I was halfway there then.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea what my week was like before my birthday, which is the only thing that was really a highlight. I got my brand new snowblower finally. And one of the main bolts that holds the handle on it sheared itself off from vibration within 2 runs up my driveway.
Nice.
So I was making a warranty claim immediately after I got it.
Huh.
Obviously, it was just a defective bolt and they didn't get caught. But yeah, that was kind of how my whole week went.
Maybe you got the Texas edition.
Yeah.
Right. Right. You aren't supposed to ever actually use it. You just
Yeah,
put it in
Yeah,
your
it's just
garage,
there for show.
You're supposed to get the Canadian edition. You got the Texas edition.
So anyway, yeah, so we've got 2 games carrying over to next week.
Yep. So Stellar Odyssey and Blockdown are carrying over to next week. And Sloopy, where can they join us to play these games live?
They can join the Coco Discord and join us on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And you don't even need to have a Coco running. You can even run an emulator on your PC, or you can even run it from the Coco archive in a web window. Unfortunately, you can't play Blockdown on the archive.
Yeah, kind of odd that the person that created Blockdown created the online thing that we can play on, but yet you can't play his game online.
On the online thing that he made.
Sixy, you better start working on that.
So, But yes, join us Thursday. We're trying to get our numbers up. I mean, come on, it's cold outside, it's dark outside. Who knows what horrors lurk in the dark, but you know what fun lurks within your Coco.
There you go. So Thursdays at 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern. Yep. So be there, everybody. And besides the two games, Stellar Odyssey and Blockdown, what else are we going to play? Oh, I guess I have to tell you that.
You can play any Coco game you want, including Neutroid.
Well, I got to show them what the next score challenge game is going to be.
Which one made points?
Neutroid?
No.
Oh.
Thank you, Ken. Ooh, trying to remember which one on this is here.
Centipede clone.
Yeah,
Might be it might be the millipede clone too. I'm trying to remember which one.
I can't remember, but it looks like one that I played.
This one, unfortunately, does not seem to run on VCC, so it only runs on real hardware or XROR.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that Slay the Terrances?
Nope.
No.
There's no water at the top.
Oh, got it.
I don't know why, but VCC, it just locks up playing this game, so you can shoot the centipede a couple of times, and then the
I
game
think I
just
know which one it
freezes.
is then, because I think I remember having problems trying to get screenshots when I put it on my page. Does it start with a W, perchance?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it does.
Does it run on MAME?
And by vowel?
I have no idea. I don't even touch MAME. It's such a pain in the butt.
Okay, so what game is it?
Well, it is. Just a second. I gotta find where. There we go. Wiggle Worm.
That was a magazine game too, wasn't it?
I believe
like
so.
a
Yes.
T&D or Chromaset or something.
I think so. Yeah.
I was
Now,
looking at that on
a couple things about it. As I said, it does not seem to run on VCC, or it doesn't run properly on VCC. So you'll have to use XOR. It runs fine on the online emulator. It's a little bit weird because at the bottom of the screen, you can only move your guy up one level. So like you've only got 2 levels of travel for up and down, but full back and forth. So you can't, you're a little more restricted in the movement of your guy. But on the plus side, when the worm hits the bottom of the screen, it doesn't bounce back and start coming back at you. It just restarts at the top of the screen. So. There we go.
I'm trying to remember, is it keyboard or joystick?
Joystick, I believe.
I think there's one that was actually keyboard, and I can't remember if that's the one.
Just a second.
Runs on joystick too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was playing it with joystick last night, so.
Okay.
But that was on the online emulator, I think. Yep, requires a color computer 1, 2, 3, 16K RAM and joystick. So it doesn't look like it has keyboard. And it's from Chromaset, February 1984.
Okay, so it was a Chromaset one. Update from 62 about playing it on XWare online. In the chat here, he says you certainly can. If you go to his site, xware.org, and whatever subpart of the pages where he has his XWare online, it's actually in the games tab. He said he's not sure why Guillaume has not linked it up on the Coco archive, because it should work.
Ah, well, that's it's just an interesting thing that you can't play the author of XROR's game on XROR online. It's just kind of, at least in the Coco archive. All right, well.
Yeah. So he does have his online XROR on his own page, and he's got some built-in disk images on there that you can select and just go in the games tab. And Wingnet is confirming that Wiggleworm is loading on MAME. So apparently just VCC has the problem with it.
Yeah.
What does it do? Just lock up or?
Yeah, you shoot the centipede a couple of times and then it just freezes.
Should let EJ know that in the Discord then, so we can try to fix it.
Is that in 6309 mode or 6809 mode?
That's a good question. Probably
Lee Perkins in
6309.
the chat is saying, I just fired up Wiggle Worm from my SDC collection, shot the 7P a couple times and it crashed. Maybe it's not VCC, but Coco 3. That's the issue.
Oh, it could be
6309.
It could be 6309 problem.
Yeah, all my Coco 3s are 6 or 9, so I can't even test to see if it works on a 6 and a 9 Coco 3 or not.
I'm going to try setting VCC to 6809 and try it and see if it locks up. So we'll go on with the show and I will interrupt and say whether it worked or not at some point.
Okay. I just got word from Frank. He's ready to come on fairly quickly here to give us a quick tour of the world of Commodore. Hopefully he can show us the Super Pet running OS 9.
We want to run an ad first and then go for it.
Yeah, if he's back here by then. I'm not sure how fast he'll get on, so we can do that. And we can also get a report from Ken when we come back from the ad and find out if it works on the 6809 VCC or Coco 3. So Mark B, if you're not tending to cats, you can throw in a commercial.
Lee said he was on a 6309.
Hello, this is Mark Siegel, product manager for the Color Computer product line and designer of the Tandy Color Computer 3. And I'm proud to be a citizen of the CoCoNation.
Shall we play a game?
Making games for the Coco for over 35 years. Go to my Coco Games website at www.nickmarentes.com for information and pricing of my later games, as well as downloads of many of my older games.
Coco 2's got personality, lots of practicality, fun, it's sensational, learn it's educational. Coco 2's expandable, so easily commandable. It's programmable, so term exam grammable. Just you and Coco 2 do what you want to do.
Coco 2, the color computer with personality from Radio Shack. Sale price for Christmas giving from $149.95.
Radio Shack's Coco 2, do what you want to do. Just you and Coco 2.
And we are back. And oh, I gotta get up. All right.
You're gonna go live to our man in the field?
Yes. Turn that back on over there.
Special report.
There we go. All right. So with us we have Frank Linhartz. He's over at the Where's he now?
World of Commodore.
World of Commodore.
On the Coco show.
That's why I
with
couldn't
Coco's
remember
there,
it.
as you can see, though, if once Mark zooms him up.
Yeah, once I find the right button here. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Now, there's Jason, who's participated in our Game On challenges a few times.
He's that guy right there.
Yep.
And Troy, and for the Commodore lovers, and I know there's very few here, but that gentleman sitting next to Troy is Matthew Desmond, the creator of SwiftLink and DesTest and a whole bunch of legacy Commodore software. So let's quickly just do, I'm just going to get to the Super Pet because I know that's what you want. You want the Super Pet. And there's a very large collection of Super Pets. And they're all for sale. Every single one. If anyone happens to have $7,500.
Oh my God. I thought Coco 3s were getting expensive.
It's on sale, though.
It's Canadian.
Yeah, but that's only like $12 US, right? Based on the exchange rate. So, there it is. I have spoken to the gentleman, Curtis. He will be contacting you. So you guys can talk about your OS 9 stuff. So there's like, even it's World of Commodore name. We've got Atari STs. I can't believe we let these things in here, but they're here. There's a few of them. Not sure why.
That's just to make the Commodore Amigas look better, isn't it?
That's exactly what it is. Makes it, and we use them to keep the doors open. Someone's developed a synth card for the pet, which is really neat. And I've got my AirPods on, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but it is a monophonic MIDI system specifically for the pet, which is a pretty neat concept, especially if you're musically inclined, which I am not. Collection of various an MSX, the Spectrum, that fancy Commodore 64 that you guys love so much.
So it looks like you actually have a fair variety of machines there, because you showed some Cocos earlier, and the Atari ST, the Spectrum. It's not just a Commodore
Sinclair
show.
there, yeah.
The Mega 65. I just got mine like 2 weeks ago, which is pretty neat. There's a varied collection of machines. Listen, it is a hobby. It's a retro hobby, and we don't discriminate. Except I do have a conversation. Except I have to have a conversation about who let that ST through the door. I'll take care of that. Don't worry about that. I will definitely take care of that. But yeah,
I'm just saying that for Sloopy's effect there, because he's a bit of an Atari fan.
Yeah, listen, we've all got our deficiencies. I get it. Listen, I totally get it.
Slow your roll there. I'm not.
Oh, there's Stacy.
Yeah, there's Stacy, and yeah, that's a crappy one. It's this one I want. One day, eventually. Yeah. Yeah.
See, your hat's on it already.
Yeah, he's got the hat on it. Yeah.
Right.
Is that your
Shameless product
reservation
placement.
cap, so you can reserve that for when it finally gets out of her hands?
Yes.
It's like a parking space. You put your hat down and
I'll wait for her estate. I might be 90 by the time it happens, but eventually, eventually it'll happen. So we've got someone local to us who Signals from Space. These guys make fantastic retro cookies. I'll show you ours that he made for us. So yeah, there's a few Pac-Mans who are confused. One's going one way, one's going the other. That's okay. He's allowed to go both ways. So he does fantastic. And you can get cookie cutters from him too. Contact info for anyone interested. They are very delicious.
Does he make custom molds for that kind of thing? Or
he does make custom molds. He made custom molds for our stuff.
Okay, well, then maybe think us about getting something for CoCofest here.
Yeah, you guys know that his mug. You guys have seen him a few times.
Yeah, we've seen him a few times.
Justice. I'm showing the Commodore stuff on the Coco show. Isn't that like an oxymoron? No, I said it was an oxymoron. Close enough. VCF is here showing their some of their stuff off. Jeff is here from VCF East. And then, the Commodore corners. Altair.
Oh, Vectrix. There you go.
Yeah.
That's another 6 out of 9 bit system that fits in the Coco show.
Yeah. You realize the flickering because of the camera shutter doesn't really look like that, but our stuff we've got here, which is, thank God I have employees because it is chaos. That's all I gotta say is chaos. Yeah, the talks are on a completely different floor, and then there's just collections of stuff everywhere if people want to buy.
Now, is this more of a display and show off thing show, or is it more of a sell stuff show, or is it a pretty even mix?
Combination of the two. I think there's more people selling than just displaying, but there are some people just solely displaying their machines. But everything has a price. Somebody came up to me and offered the right amount of money for my 3,000 tower, and I was like, yeah. I mean, everything's got a price at the end of the day, right?
Except Stacy's.
Yeah, no, substation. Well, no, it's got a price. I just can't afford it right now.
So, right. Nobody actually isn't selling. Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, you throw enough money into something, and people say yes, like I did.
So is Stacy funding her retirement?
Well, that is her retirement plan. Yes, her retirement plan is that 3500 T, or I will be her retirement plan. One of the two. So I mean, it's just you got all the super pets. I know you, Curtis, really excited about the Wacom stuff. So I've talked to him. He's gone for the day. His display's out, but he's got your contact info. He's going to reach out.
Yeah, because I'd like to see a 609 port, and actually, if they have the source for their port of OS 9, it's actually pretty easy to get that initially running.
Yeah, I'm sure they do somewhere. I hope they do. How's that? Well,
yeah, I don't have to disassemble it again. I got enough disassembly projects on the go.
Yeah. Okay. We've got an announcement. So, yeah, so the presentation's on a different floor. So we got a 490 or something like that, 490 people.
That's not bad.
So, yeah, about half of them are upstairs right now, depending on who we just had the Berkeley guy, the guy who created GEOS at Berkeley, do his presentation, and now I think Greg's going upstairs to do his C64 OS presentation. So,
and this runs tomorrow as well, not just today.
Correct, 10 to 5:30 tomorrow. Come on.
And where's it taking place in case anybody's in the area there that wants to attend?
The Admiral Inn in Mississauga. You can find out all the information at the club's website, tpug.ca. You can get this Coco 2 for a steal at $200, or this Coco 1 with box and manual for $175.
These are Canadian prices, of course.
I know. I'll take American money at par as well. That's not a problem. I'll gladly do that. So
we call that tipping.
Yes, exactly. So
what's that card?
That's an implant card for the Amiga.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
I'm lightening some of my loads so I can make more space in the storage racks for even more stuff that I'm going to eventually buy.
What's in front of the Coco 1? Is that an Acorn or something?
It is. Yep. It's an Acorn Electron.
With the expansion.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the multi-game pack. The Mega Games cartridge for it. But I've got an NTSC power supply for it and a SCART connector and joystick and everything. So,
yeah, because the Acorn Atom, not this machine, this is an Electron, a later one, but the Acorn Atom actually has the same video chip as the Coco does.
Yeah, this one's the smaller cousin. How's that? Not exactly a crazy powerful machine, but it is. It's a great gaming machine, that's for sure. Anybody got any questions before I let you guys go?
You can ask Jason when is he next going to be on the Game On Challenge.
When will you be on the Game On Challenge next, sir? Yeah, something about playing pocket pool on Thursday. I mean, pool on Thursday.
He censored all of that, did he?
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever he's free on a Thursday, he'll be on, which I think he just committed to next Thursday. So, or a Thursday, sorry, not next Thursday.
Well, if he does next Thursday, there's 3 games to play, so he has lots of variety to pick from.
There you go.
I just want to know if I can borrow $7,500.
Yeah, sure. We can talk about my exorbitant interest rates. But sure, we can take care of that.
And if I could pay it off with just broken legs.
How many legs you got?
You should, Sloopy, you should just donate Frank all of your Atari STs. He'll love that.
And actually, Sloopy, don't worry, it's all in Canadian, so his exorbitant interest rates are not really that much.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Enjoy your show, guys.
Hey, well, thanks for popping by.
Enjoy your show, sir.
We can't hear him. He's cutting out on the mic there. So
January 16th is the next available Thursday.
January 16th?
I'm trying.
Okay, it's a date.
See you
All right,
guys.
I've written that down.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Is Ken here?
Yeah.
Did you notice the possum shirt?
Yeah, I saw somebody had stolen my shirt and that was in one of the shots there.
I don't know so much about stealing your shirt because you've got more of a floral motif. That was definitely just random 80s or random 80s and 90s stuff floating around motif.
Well, you know, discount Ken.
Hey, if girls don't find you handsome, they should find you handy.
I do have plaid shirts too.
You feel seasick after watching that video.
Yeah.
Oh,
Next
it could have been
iPhone.
worse. It could have been much worse. Which reminds me,
No.
I need to look up how much a gimbal costs.
Right? The iPhone 20 with the gimbaling eyeball floating on the back of it.
It'll be on a mini drone. It'll just float around and auto gimbal itself and follow
A
you.
gimbal costs anywhere from $45 to $20,000.
Right. And then you're walking around with this funky thing on top of your
Yeah, how
Big
steady
harness.
How steady can you afford to be?
Hey, so I actually have a like one of those wearing type of gravity things that you do all the adjustments with, and it looks kind of cool when you wear it with all black and a Daft Punk helmet and everything like that.
Those are good, but like those big gimbals like that are good, but if your camera is too light, then it doesn't work, and your camera just goes floating off into weird different directions.
Snap, yeah. I just had a vision of VCF Midwest with 1,000 drones flying over the floor
like
and
bees.
trying to avoid each other.
Yeah. Like a swarm of bees.
Getting stuck in people's hair. Yeah, it'd be great.
Okay. Time for some news, huh?
Sure. I'm going to start with the upcoming show since we just visited one that was happening this weekend. I'll mention the next ones, but go ahead and play the intro.
When you want the latest in TRS80, Tandy, Dragon, MC10, and all of their hardware cousins. No matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world to your nation. The CoCoNation News with L Curtis Boyle.
And I am not L Curtis Boyle, but I did find out something. I tried the that wiggle worm on a 6809 on VCC, and it still didn't work. Still froze up, so it looks like its problem is with the Coco 3. So XROR or Coco 1.2 you'll have to use to play that game.
Okay. Maybe if I get some time here this Sunday here, I might try to see if I can figure out why it's doing that and maybe fix it.
Or a smart person can fix it.
So Nick's out. No, I'm just kidding.
Chris tries. Chris Dury's in the chat says crashes on both Gimme X and stock Coco 3.
Okay, so it definitely seems to be a Gimme X, or sorry, Coco 3
Coco
issue of
3,
some sort.
yeah.
Might be the ROM thing. If it's calling ROM routines like Nick's suggesting, some of those have moved around and changed. So with super extended basics. So that one poke that resets the gimme to be just pure ROM mode and boots up like a Coco 1.2, might actually fix it. But I wish I could remember the poke.
And he does. Chris does say works with a Coco 1 with the 6309.
Okay, so 609 is not the issue.
so
That's good to know.
It's the
60, if
Coco
you're still in the
patches.
chat there, if you remember the poke to reset the Coco 3 into Coco 1.2 mode, let us know and we'll give that a shot during the show too. Honestly, don't remember.
I think if you do the poke to, oh gosh, just to bank in the ROMs is all you need.
Well, there's one gimme register that actually has the Coco 1.2 ROM mode. You just set that one bit and it does it, but I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I
Right.
can't remember it as well now. Haven't got my docs here.
At any rate, thanks for researching that, Ken. We kind of identified it now, so it should work on a Coco 1 or 2. It should work on XROAR. It theoretically would work in MAME if you boot it as a Coco 1 or 2 as opposed to a Coco 3. If anybody can try that has MAME, that'd be great to. Yep, Wing that just confirmed it does work on MAME with a Coco 1 and 2 setting. Yeah, I can see him playing it, so. 60 is suggesting the chat FFDE. I don't know. I don't even know what bits to set, so. Do you remember, Nick?
No.
Oh, he said he just tried it and that still crashed. I don't know.
So Curtis, you're gonna have to update your website to say it's only Coco 1 and 2 game.
Or I have to figure out what's wrong with it and see if I can fix it.
Well, the show's not over yet, so.
Yeah, but I can't do it. I got to do the news now. So one of you guys is going to have to do it.
I thought you said you could multitask.
No, my Coco can. I can't. At any rate. Okay, so is Mark Overhoser kicking around?
I
He flitted away.
It's gone for a lie down and a sleep.
Or a pickle sandwich, or
Every time I want to throw it to him, he leaves. I don't
He's
understand
gone.
this.
Yeah. Timing. Okay, well, make up some news until then.
Well, no, it's just that I'm doing the upcoming shows. The first one up is the virtual Tandy CoCofest here, so I thought he'd let him do the plug part. Now, he did mention that we've got multiple people already lined up, and some of the times already filled in during the day. There's going to be a bit of a break on Saturday, of course, because we have our show, but we're going to try to limit it to 3 hours that particular day. And
I thought it would be instead of.
Yeah. I guess we also announced today that Brian, myself, and Paul Fiscarelli will be doing a digital archaeology event or seminar, or whatever we want to call it, at that show too as well. So
presentation.
Look forward to that.
There he is.
He lives, man.
I live. I just doing other things. So.
Yeah. So January 25th online at the same place you're watching this right now, which would be Twitch and YouTube. Facebook's pretty well permanently done, isn't it, Mark?
Unless it happens to be working today. There was, like I said, Restream has changed things again for the second time and made it simpler. So there were extra settings for Facebook I put in, and who knows?
Okay. So as it currently stands, Marco, this is Saturday only, right? There's no plans for any Sunday seminars?
No, not at this point. But hey, if I got somebody that needs to roll over the next day, I'm sure I could work something out.
Okay. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure Paul should be available for the day because he's known about the date for this for a while, and he's kind of known we're planning on presenting it. Just we have to get the times narrowed down, which I think you sent me something. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. So
I did. You can see all the slots I don't have assigned.
And also, since it's coming up right after the show today, we're going to do a quick recording of a second show, which is going to be a Coco Tech episode 6A. It's kind of a follow-up to our semi-graphics and basic episode 6. That'll be Nick and myself. And that's kind of going to be a little bit of coolness in there. There's some stuff we've discovered since and a few tips and tricks and techniques. Nick, since you hadn't had a chance to respond to my message yet, did you manage to get that extra last demo done? Because just in case you didn't, I did. So, but now Nick's left, I suppose.
No, I'm back.
Oh, sorry.
Gee. Oh, is it today? Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completed the one I was working on. So you said you've got one for the blacks.
Yes.
Okay, we'll ride with that, and we can show my one. So we'll just.
Okay, so that worked out well. Then we actually got everything covered.
Yeah, we'll wing it.
Don't we always?
Yeah, we do actually. Yeah.
So I look forward to that right after the show. Might take a little bit of a break. I'll probably grab a little bite to eat, so it'll be a few minutes. But I don't want to chew in your guys' ears. But that'll be following the regular show today.
Apologies in advance.
Yeah. Next up after that is VCF SoCal, Southern California, February 15th to 16th. Returns to the Hotel Fair in Orange, California, same place as it was last year. There was some good Coco exhibitors last year as well. There's some FujiNet stuff with Cocos and a few others as well. And Wayne Campbell is going with, I can't remember who his name was off the top of my head, my apologies, but hopefully he'll be able to talk a bit about Nitrous 9 and Basic 9 at the show. I don't think he'll have a booth or anything, but hopefully he'll just visit one of the other Coco guys there and maybe be allowed to demonstrate a few things. We'll see if we can get it arranged anyway. So look forward to that. Plus, if you're up here where it's minus 30 or 40, it's probably a good time to head down to California where it's warm. Next up after that, we have VCF East, and that is happening April 4th to the 6th, same place it is pretty well every year at the Info Age Science Museum in Wall, New Jersey. And this is one that Sloopy's a regular attendee at, and I believe he's going again this year. I think Henry's planning on going this year. Anybody else in the panel planning on going? And also Sloopy and or Henry, are you guys planning on doing any exhibiting or just being attendees this year?
I'm just going to be an attendee this year.
Retro Innovations.
Okay, so you're exhibiting with Jim?
Probably for Jim.
Oh, Jim won't be there, you don't think? Or
probably not, because it's like a 16, 17-hour drive for him. So I think he's going to be planning on going every other year.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty wimpy, because, I mean, 16, 17-hour drive, that's nothing, right, Ken?
Halfway across the province, right?
Especially if you take a detour through Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, he also goes to VCF Midwest, which I haven't seen you at.
No, it's that's not a driving issue though. That's a I'm super busy with work issue, but not for much longer. So I will be attending that not too far in the future. Not this year, because I'll be attending to VCF, the one in Texas, which will be coming up very shortly.
Yeah. Southwest.
Okay, thanks. There's too many of them now. How many VCFs is there in in the States now? Because there's also ones in Europe too. So
there's East, Midwest, SoCal, Southwest, Southeast,
Plain West, which is California, right?
Yeah, and there's a PNW, which has been on and off, and I think it's been off for a few years, but they're talking about bringing it back or combining it with the Retro Gaming Classic or something, or that's up there.
Yeah, it's the one that Mark Overholzer's been to, but I don't know if he knows anything, if they've gotten further in the plans for bringing that back yet or not.
VCF Pacific Northwest? No, it's just there is interest. I mean, Michael Brutman, who was the guy who did it last couple times, we were trying to do it in 2018 and 19. He's been to the Interim Computer Festival this last year, so hopefully we'll get enough interest to get it spun back up. In the meantime, hopefully the Interim Computer Festival will be back. Probably should be.
Okay, cool. Also, Sloopy, if you know, I don't know if you do or not, but I noticed the VCF East page here, they have announced what the theme is, and this is the sound of vintage. I'm assuming this is like music and sound effects chips and stuff. Is that the theme?
I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So while you're sitting there, check out the computer classes.
Computer classes. Ooh.
Ooh.
Check it out.
That you, Henry, or
No, it's not. I found it there. I'm like, look, Coco stuff, lots and Coco stuff.
yeah, there's a Fujinet one there. There's Advanced Coco Basic.
Oh, that's yeah.
Now, Advanced Coco Basic, is that talking about the Deluxe, or is this Advanced Programming Techniques? Is my
That's going
question.
to be advanced programming techniques, more likely than not.
Okay, because Advanced Color Basic is what our preview ROM on the Deluxe is.
Right.
And of course,
And
the
then
only
I
person
think
that actually
they've got
has one of those is Brian. So I was going to ask Brian, but I don't know if he's still on the call.
Yeah, I think they've got they've got the assembly stuff happening with that. So, I haven't gotten in touch with the organizers yet to see, hey, do you need an extra teacher or is it already spoken for? So
There's a whole bunch more in the second day here.
Right.
Yeah, they've got it
Coco
all
plus
over.
Beginner Basic, Intermediate Coco Basic, more on the Coco Fujinet.
This is like the Atari thing that they had last year, because there was a lot of Atari stuff going on in the classrooms last year. This year it's all Coco.
So this year they got some class. That's awesome. Sorry.
I'm thinking.
So who's doing all these? Is my question. Obviously, Thomas Cherryholmes is doing the Fujinet Coco stuff.
Well, he's all sprinkled through it. Is he driving this or?
He may very well be, because this might be a problem, a Fujinet thing. I haven't really seen much that's on the backside, like who's talking to whom about what. Because again, this is a VCF thing, and I'm not necessarily in on those conversations. So.
I guess the reason I'm asking is because the Coco plus Fujinet on all the days that he's got that seminar going, it actually says Tom Cherryholmes, so you know it's him. But none of the other ones have any names, just a question mark.
Oh, okay. Well, in which case, I didn't even think about that part. Yeah, I need to start talking to somebody and say, hey, do you need somebody to do something?
Yeah, you'd be a very good co-presenter, I think, on some of this stuff. So,
especially the beginner assembler stuff.
You can even add in like a beginner's fourth.
Exactly.
Not necessarily yours. There's a lot of fourths already on the Coco. You could just show how fourth works.
There are a lot of fourths. It's as a beginner assembler, like just getting the ball running as far as like just getting something going on assembly, I think is what they're looking at with that. But I'll have to check with them and see what their syllabus is, what they're wanting to accomplish in the classes, and we'll see what happens.
All right. There's always 1,300.
Yeah, if you're a Sloopy, like you guys obviously have been to Sloopy for sure has been to the show before for VCF East. I think you have too, haven't you, Henry? You went last year? Yeah. So since you guys are somewhat familiar with the people there, if you can maybe grab them, like if they have anybody that's kind of organizing the Coco seminars, maybe we can get them on the show to talk about it too, entice people to come out. Because it looks like they got a lot of stuff planned. I was kind of surprised to see this. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, let me see what I can wrestle up.
Sorry, April 4th, 6th. That sounds a lot more enticing now. So, unfortunately, that's a terrible time for me to try to get time off work, too. Damn it. Why do you guys keep putting the good stuff in spring and fall, right when I'm the busiest time doing
Aren't
tickets?
you like the owner or something?
Yeah, but I can't tell the Major League Baseball, change your schedule, please, because I want these days off for VCFs.
You have to check out the rest of the owner's tasks and job assignments.
Yeah, the guys who control my getting paid are the ones that kind of dictated this to me. That sounds awesome, actually. I'm really curious. Next up after that is one I am going to for sure. That's the 33rd annual last Chicago CoCofest. Actually, it's not the last because we already know there's another one booked for the following year in 2026. But anyway.
Penultimate CoCofest.
Yeah, we should really get that changed.
But no one else needs
the
to
inaugural
know about
penultimate CoCofest.
Sorry, well, Mark B, you said something?
Yeah, no one else has to actually know about it.
Well, if they watch our show, they should.
That there's more?
Yeah, that there's actually another one coming. Keep the secret going, you know?
No, we want to expand, not shrink.
The thing was, there was always only going to be one more. Now there's always going to be two more, I think. So we need to change the terminology a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, it's going to be the last one. I better go or I'll never be able to go again.
Now we got ways to entice them to come out now. It's like Henry will be there showing off fourth. I mean, who can resist that?
Right.
And Rick will be there showing off networking stuff.
Yeah, we don't know what it is yet because we haven't quite decided what's what's going to work.
That's
yet.
just like my Nitrous
Right?
9 stuff. I have no idea if my next release is going to be done by May or not.
It might be a ... update, or it might be a 3.0. We don't know.
But you will get to see the head-on challenge between Ken and me playing 3D Brickaway, so that's worth the price of admission right
That's
there.
worth it right there.
Where Ken's going to make me eat my words. All right, Chicago CoCofest, May 2nd to 3rd. This, of course, is a time or a day change from previous years. This actually starts on Friday and Saturday with some vendors set up on Thursday night. And also there's teardown time on Sunday, but this will allow people that have to go back to work Monday to actually stay for the main show for the entire time, which has been a complaint with some of the vendors and for some of the people doing seminars, because like half the people had already left because they had to catch planes and stuff Sunday. So definitely looking forward to that. Same place as last year, the Holiday Inn and Suites, Chicago Carol Stream. You can actually book the hotel with the discount code already, and it's actually a pretty sizable discount from what that hotel normally is. Use the group rate code of G30, and that's $122 a night for 2 queens or 1 king bed. And that rate lasts till April the 7th. Booking for tables will be going up in just over a month in beginning of January. So I'm sure we'll get some more updates from Grant as far as that goes. And yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Hopefully no don't hit a blizzard like we did 2 years ago. Next up after that is VCF Southwest. This is June 20th to the 22nd at the Davidson-Gundy Alumni Center, University of Texas, Dallas. This is one that Brian Weisler and I are both planning on going to and actually kind of joining up partway down to carpool. And it'll be my first time ever going to this one. I'm still deciding whether I want to actually get a table or not. The problem with being at a table on a show you've never been to before is you don't have much time to run around and, see the other vendors and other booths and seminars and everything else. So I'm kind of steering towards just attending, but maybe I can hang around a table if people want to ask questions and maybe, pre-set up a time in case somebody wants to meet me for some weird ass reason. But yeah, Boise and Brendan Donahue and a bunch of others have definitely represented the CoCo very well at this show in the past. Boise's done multiple seminars there. A lot of the Tandy alumni are there, of course, as well. I'm hoping to meet Mart Siegel in person for the first time ever if he's able to make it. There's others like Jerry Heap and a bunch of others that were involved with the CoCo as well. So, because of course it's right in the back door of where, or back, yard of where Tandy themselves were. So looking forward to that. And the last one I got for now that Tim Linder let us know about is the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, which maybe that's the one they're talking about possibly merging with VCF Northwest as well. That runs October the 17th to 19th. And I haven't got too many specifics on it yet besides the dates. But it was a fairly successful show this last year when it was held in September. And I know that Tim and AJ have attended it before. They might be attending it this year. I can't remember that. I know they're planning on coming out to CoCofest this year. So we'll keep an eye out on that. And if you guys know any that I'm missing here, just let me know in the Discord, or you can email directly off my website. I've got my email plastered all over the place in there, and you can let me know and I'll bring them up on the show. And that's it for the upcoming shows for now. Now, I'm going to do the regular news first and then save the game on stuff for last, because actually there's a fair bit of game news this week and some pretty cool stuff in there. So you definitely want to hang around for that. But in the meantime, I'll go straight to the regular news. Make sure my sound's on. Okay, first of all, we got an update from Ron Klein. He posted a blog update for the Coco Pride project, including the latest and how it is being built and the different ways that you can install it. And basically the gist of this is, as you may have read from my previous development posts, my intent was to move to an installer-based version of the Coco Pi. This would allow you to download and use the latest Debian 12-based OS for the Raspberry Pi or even other platforms altogether, and use automated scripts to install the Coco Pi components, i.e. launch menus, emulators, compilers, development utilities, etc., on top of the OS. While there's some manual steps required to do this, it allows for a great deal of flexibility. Windows 10 or 11 users can install Coco Pi under WSL, which works fantastic, or other SBCs that can run Linux. Same for home PCs, laptops, whatever. As long as you get a Debian 12 OS for it, chances are it can use the Coco Pi platform. And then he's talking about the installer scripts that would do all this stuff. He said, while there are many who thought this installer version was a good idea, there was more that who did not. They simply want an SD card image that can download most things already pre-installed. I understand this from both sides, and it goes without saying you can't please everyone, though I try to accommodate the best as I can as time allows. So he mentions here that he is going to support that type of install as well, which is kind of the way it was done before. It's a bit more work for him. It might be a little bit behind, I'm guessing, from what the main the way he wants to distribute them is, but you'll still have the option to do it either way. He said even with the CoCoPi SD image version, there is still manual steps that need to be performed, which you need to review and update, but the existing CoCoPi installation configuration video series of tutorials that Steve Strobridge created are still a very good place to start. And I do remember those. So yeah, so that's the latest update from Ron. It will be being distributed both ways, so you can do it the new way, which will be a bit quicker and easier for Ron to get out. And but he'll still be upholding the old way as well for those that don't want to muck around with doing all the kind of install scripts and stuff. There'll be a lot less for the user to do, doing it the old way. Next up, Wi-Fi Sheep, who is actually a guest on our show. Oh, it's probably about half a year now, I guess. He's from the UK, but he attended the Retro Computer Festival, which is kind of the big UK retro show that covers a bazillion machines. We did cover this a little bit. He actually had a brief little video kind of giving the Dragon Coco perspective of the show. This one is more of a full review of the entire thing, going through, visiting with Tim Gilbert and a bunch of others too, and going through all the exhibits. And he does some more mentioning of the Coco and Dragons and stuff here. So I thought I would show a little clip from it, which is one of the themes that they'd mentioned earlier this year that they were doing at the show when it happened, was that they were having a special presentation about machines that use the VDG, the Video Display Generator 6847 chip that the Coco, the MC10, the Alice, the Dragons, Acorn Atom, and a bunch of other things used. And they had a nice display showing some of the alternate machines that use that video chip, including ones that don't even have Motorola CPUs in them. So I'll play a little clip of that so you guys can see what that's all about. Audio coming through?
Yeah.
Okay. And we're on to some other machines next door, but you can see some like laser data. They had the VZ100 and 200, I think, used it. The Acorn Atom. There's some Sanyos in there that also use the VDG, which I think isn't Sanyo the guys that did the PC 6001, which also used the VDG. It was kind of a early 80s Japanese system, which I think was
I wonder how they're doing that screen.
Pardon me?
Wonder how they're doing that screen that you can see there.
This one here? That's past the VDG. That's on other stuff, I think.
Oh, right.
I think the VDG stuff is more.
I got to say, there seems to be a few more colors on that.
There's Pack Attack. I'll just mute the sound here briefly. Of course, we recognize these ones.
Oh, I don't know what that brick is on top of it, though.
The MC10, you mean?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Here's the Acorn Atom on the bottom. Here's the Laser 200. I think this was one sold in Australia too, wasn't it, Nick? Or
No,
under a
not
different
that
name
one.
though, maybe.
No, we called it the VZ200. And the one above it, we called it the VZ300.
And what was the main difference besides a better keyboard?
It might have been more RAM as well. I can't remember.
Okay. And there's some of the Sanyo machines. In fact, if I remember, Control Alt Reese did a video. We showed briefly that had that Japanese machine to teach English that had the really weird looking case and ended up having like several CPUs inside of it and multiple boards put together, but it also was 6847 driven. And actually this machine here is kind of the base of that, a very simplified version. But yeah, there was multiple Z80 machines as well as 6800 and 6809 machines. I think I'm trying to remember, Dick, was it the APF Imagination machine also had a 6847?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Next up, we've got an update from Kieran, who's actually hopefully in the chat. Yeah, he's still there. And he did another update to XWAR, releasing version 1.7.3, which I think is mainly a bug fix, because 1.7 is basically the new features. And then there was a couple of glitches that happened. I think, for example, the direct loading of Dragon DOS binaries broke in the 1.7.2 release, so that's now fixed. I'll just read verbatim what he's got for fixes in 1.7.3, which I think is pretty well what it concentrates on, which is bug fixes. So reduced memory usage when reading gamepad mappings file, included missing files in the tarball distribution, fixed gimme issue when loading from a snapshot, fixed the Becker port status polling, fixed built-in configs with non-default CPUs, and fixed direct loading of Dragon DOS binaries. But I don't think there's anything like new. I think it's more just kind of like tweaking and smoothing things out a bit. Next up, this is a rather interesting one here. So a guy named Daniel Wilson hosts the Think Tank podcast, and his interviewee this particular episode, which is show number 9, and this is actually dated back, but I didn't know about it before. I'd never seen it. And he posted in the Coco group on Facebook about it this past week. He interviewed Wes Kusmal. Now, that's not a name I recognized off the top of my head. And he was a guy that originally had put on, I think, the very first online encyclopedia back in the early 80s, like 1980, 81 type thing, which eventually morphed into Delphi, which a lot of us are familiar with, because Delphi, along with CompuServe, Coco Forums, was probably the most popular online, predecessor to the internet, basically, as far as finding stuff out on. And this goes through the history of going from Delphi originally being the online encyclopedia to adding the user groups and forums and everything else. The co-sponsorship with Rainbow, because Rainbow was heavily involved and they actually set up the whole Coco section there. And then they actually had monthly columns explaining like what new files were added and what kind of discussions were going on. So we always followed that in Rainbow magazine. And then also it gets into the stuff that he's doing now, which is, dealing with internet security and a bunch of other things, privacy, etc. So it's a very long-ranging interview and a very interesting one. So I'm glad he posted it, because I would have totally missed this otherwise, even though it happened back in June of this past year. And definitely worth your while listening to if you haven't. There's a video version of it as well on YouTube. And it actually used one of the 2-page ads from Rainbow that actually was, a Delphi ad, not a Rainbow ad. And then you can see a little bit underneath here. But that's the person there that's doing the interview. And this is Wes over here on the right. So, yeah, he's doing some really interesting stuff even nowadays. It's definitely worth the listen, I think. Pretty cool stuff. And also, just to verify, 60 got back to me. He said, yeah, just bug fixes in the 1.7.3 version of XWAR. Next up, we have a very brief little video on Facebook. This is posted by David Collins, and he posted it in the Motorola 689, 639, 6800 Assembly Language Programming Group on Facebook. And this is his HB63 CO89M single board 609 base computer, which is a 3 megahertz rated one. It might even be 3.5. I can't remember off the top of my head. And basically what he's doing here is he wrote a machine language 609 native machine language, basically generating a Mandelbrot set, but on the text screen, like an 80 by 24 text screen terminal type thing. He's using a virtual terminal in this video here to show it. And for those of you, doing a Mandelbrot set within a certain fixed res, there's a lot of like these time tests. I know I did one for Basic 09 to see how it compared with some of the other basics and stuff. It's actually included on EOU. This one here actually was just under 0.3 of a second to generate an 80 by 24 version of it. So I'll just play the brief video here. And just bang, there it's done. It took more time to print it at 9600 baud than it took to actually generate the thing. So pretty decent speed, because that's a lot of fixed point math and, fairly large things like multiplies and stuff together, which is 609 excels at, because it has some nice, 16 by 16 bit sign multiplication instructions built into the chip itself. So that was cool to see that it ran that quickly. Next up, we have an MC10. Jim Gary supported a program called a Spacecraft Simulator, which was originally written by Gary Sivak. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. For Byte Magazine, the November 1979 issue. So this program originally predates the Coco 1 by 8 months before it was even announced. And It's a completely text based, and it's basically simulating. You got to punch in different parameters for how much thrust you want to put in to try to land and fly properly. I do remember these, like some of the basic computer books that Creative Computing put out, at stuff like this, and they're totally text based. It would run on basically any machine equipped with BASIC back at the time. You can see here he's setting burn times and thrust levels and angles of the burn, etc., to steer the ship. So that's a very historic one. This is a beta release. He actually had mentioned he had a previous video out actually. He had a previous version of it that had some bugs, I think, on the plotting at the end, which I think he's fixed in this one. He's considering it's a beta, though. He thinks there might still be a few little quirks to fix. And see if I can find his plot here. Yeah, so this is kind of like plotting how your descent will look like graphically, which I don't think the original program really did, because the original program was meant for text unless it used asterisks or something. So anyway, you can pick up a bit of history there. That's a fairly old program. Next up, we switch over to the Dragon. There's actually a lot of Dragon news this week, so there's actually more stories in the Dragon than there is in the Coco. So the first one here, Rob or CFG, and I can't remember what his real name is, on World of Dragon forums has announced a new utility called DragonCast 2. This is a sequel to the DragonCast GUI program that he originally did, and he's released a test version for Windows. And this is basically to manipulate cassette images and stuff within Windows, drag files off and pull them out, etc., like that. So he's got, you can actually download right from the World of Dragon forums. If you're not a member, you should go join. It's free. And there's a lot of cool discussions there, a lot of game announcements and hardware announcements and all kinds of stuff. Figuring out some of the older prototypes, like the Dragon Beta and Alpha. That's usually where I've got my first information. A lot of the stuff is on the World of Dragon forums. And of course, if you actually go back outside the forums, just World of Dragon itself, there's the entire, it's the equivalent of the Color Computer Archive is on there. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can download, including manuals and tape and disk images of various programs and games, etc. So it's a really cool site. Definitely check it out if you haven't been there. And if you want to actually take a look at the actual source code and download the actual thing, he's got a direct link to his Bitbucket DragonCast 2 master here with source code and everything else if you want to take a boo at it. It's written in C++. And it's a utility for fixing and converting WAV files from old computers. So you can actually take a raw, digitized version of the cassette, then you just play it into a modern PC and record it, and then you can actually extract the files right out of the WAV image, etc. So a lot of cool stuff in there. Next up, we have Julian Brown as a new candidate for the RAM replacement board. And now the original post he did November 28th, which was Thursday, he said, ran out of time to test today, but should have a result soon. He actually did do some testing. It's working better than his previous one, because his previous one wasn't basically doing much at all. He said, a quick test shows the data being read is deterministic instead of junk, which is what I was getting before. So that is a huge win. Unfortunately, it isn't working to the point where I can actually get regular BASIC to boot. And then he does a second post basically saying, thinking further than issue, the data out of the chip is consistent. This means the address selection is working. Not necessarily correct, but more on that in a moment. So then he kind of goes through and he's got some other things he's got to change and test out here, but he's definitely getting it closer and closer now so that he'll be able to actually do this as an upgrade board that you can just buy. So we'll keep our eye out on that. Next up, Richard Harding, the main archivist for the Dragon. We'd mentioned before that he'd gotten some of the original artwork for some of the Dragon data and microdeal documentation, the full color paintings, etc. And he'd put up some high res duplications of these that you could download and print them out yourself if you wanted to make a proper color, if you have a color printer, to make a proper new cassette case to maybe repair a damaged one or missing one of yours. Now what he's done here is he's actually created posters, and these are actually set up at 300 dot per inch at 23 inches by 15 and a half, so you can actually make a full color poster. And these are fairly large files here. But they always had such wonderful artwork on the Dragon, far beyond what almost everybody in the States did at the time on the Coco, with a few exceptions. I mean, Mictron did some pretty cool photography stuff too with models, things. Adventure International, of course, they did a generic case or artwork for the same game on like 7 different systems, so it was a bit cheaper for them to do it. But I always found the stuff wonderful. And now if you want to make a full-blown poster hang on your wall, there's a bunch of here to choose from, including some of the regular ads with a bunch of stuff mixed, but also the game ones themselves. And there's just some beautiful stuff in here. I just love looking at these. If I had a color printer still, I might actually print out a few of these, but unfortunately I don't have a black and white now, so that kind of makes it pointless. But definitely go check them out, and you can download them if you wish. Next up, a YouTube channel called Retro for You. So this latest episode that he released this past week, he received a fair number of UK computers that he has to go through. And he actually, a Dragon 32 happens to be one of those. So I'll play a little clip from that. He doesn't actually fire it up yet. These are just kind of going through what he received and what kind of shape they're in.
Next we have the Dragon 32, released in 1982. This little gem hails from Wales. I should say less than a little gem, it's a very big machine. Now it's a bit quirky looking, but I quite like that. And the emblem obviously is like the Welsh flag. It was released again as a competitor to the likes of the ZX Spectrum, the Commodore 64. The Dragon 32 was powered by a Motorola 6809E CPU running at 0.9 MHz. This was actually a very advanced processor for its time, much better than you'd find in the ZX Spectrum or the Commodore 64. It offered powerful instructions and was great for serious programming. However, the Dragon fell short with its graphics chip. The MC6847, or Video Display Generator, while functional, could only manage a resolution of 259 by 192 in monochrome, or 128 by 192 with 4 colours. Yes, only 4 colours. And they were mostly shades of green, yellow and orange, which didn't do much for the gaming experience, as you can tell. Now the poor graphics chip was one of the main reasons why it struggled in the market. Whilst it had excellent hardware under the hood, its graphic capabilities just couldn't keep up with the games of the ZX Spectrum or the Commodore 64. Still, it has its charm. With the right programs, the Dragon could shine, especially when used for programming and text-based applications.
Anyway, I thought it was a pretty good summary. He actually knew that the 6809 is a very powerful chip, and of course the VDG doesn't compete with the graphics chips on the, say, a C64 especially. So that was pretty honest reporting, I think. Next up, we have a German YouTube channel called Mig's Yesterchips. Now, that's actually ran by the Yesterchips Museum, which is a computer museum based in Germany. And he just received a Dragon 32 as a hardware donation, and it needs a little bit of repair because it was only producing black and white. Now, he doesn't actually show him fixing it. He doesn't really show the results. This was just more of a report and update for a donation that he received. So he does explain, he has a few, photos of what was wrong. And it was actually a little part that was missing that was causing the problem, that was only doing black and white. So I'm sure he'll do a follow-up video actually showing the machine in action. And of course, if you're in Germany, I'm not sure what city they're in Germany, but you can check out the Yesterchips Museum because this will be on display shortly, I guess, as part of the museum itself. So that was pretty cool. It's in German, so you will want to turn closed captioning with auto translate turned on, which actually does a pretty good job in this one. I'll just play a few seconds just so you can kind of get an idea.
Ich freue mich gerade wie ein Schnitzel, weil ein schon länger laufendes Projekt ist jetzt endlich so weit, dass man sagen kann, okay, mach mal einen Deckel drauf, jetzt funktioniert das Ding so, wie es funktionieren soll. Und damit hallo und herzlich willkommen zu diesem Video hier aus dem Kabuff des...
I love the fact that YouTube added auto-translate because I've been finding all kinds of stuff like Polish podcasts talking about dragons and German and of course the Portuguese ones in Brazil, etc. too. So that's a boon, and it works both ways. I mean, they can translate us. I know who wanted to listen to me, but anyway. But obviously you can get a lot of a wider range of viewpoints and hardware and software that got produced in some of these other countries that we never really saw. Just need one for Australia now.
G'day.
Well, that's pretty close to Canada. It's a good day. Hey, you're close.
And that translates to what? Hello?
What's that?
And that translates to what? Hello?
Yeah. Y'all.
Y'all.
Good day, eh? And you're close.
Okay, next up, there's this guy named Henry.
Oh, Jesus.
And
not again.
With the Dutch angle background and everything. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious. You decided to call your USB to CoCo keyboard adapter part 2 because we already covered your part 1. You called it the fabining. Should it have been the fabining?
No, sure. Because Fab is short for fabrication, so fabbing.
Okay.
Fabbing, okay, yeah.
Now, is there a particular little snippet here I should play, do you think? Or should I just fast forward it somewhere you can talk over it, or what do you want to do?
I'm not really sure, because the thing that struck me as being the most interesting, I think, was when I started noticing the big mistakes that I made in my schematic. So let's see.
Well, I'll show what your first board order looked like.
Yeah. That really surprised the heck out of me when I saw those resistors, because when I first ordered those, I was wondering why in the world did I have to pay an extra $25 to get those resistors placed, and then I see that they're basically the size of gnats, and I'm like, oh, no wonder. Of course, I noticed the DC board. Yeah. Those things right there. Those are all resistors between transistors. I noticed that I've got a ground line running to a +5 line, so I had to fix that. And
it didn't fix itself.
No, it didn't. I didn't wait for it to fix itself because, quite frankly, I don't want to short out my power supply. There were a few other errors that happened in that. The long story short, I got it working, but it required a lot of bodging, and it required bodging not only in hardware but in software. And so I hopefully fixed the issues in hardware that needed to be fixed. So, but it was working. I got it to a state where I was able to demo it, and there's a few little gotchas that I've got going on with it right now that I'm not entirely sure why I've got a debounce issue, but that's probably a software thing.
Yeah, throw a cap in somewhere. Yeah.
And this is the first time I've really watched one of these programs that do these designs here. Which one is this in particular?
This is KiCad.
Boy, and I could never get KiCad to perform like that for me.
No,
well,
no.
I'm moving that at about like 16 times normal speed, I do believe, from where I was at. So, of course, the speed things.
Oh, there went my Henry's a robot theory.
Right. No, this is real time. Yeah.
Don't I wish? Now this took quite a while to lay out because the level of automation that's available for routing in KiCad is very low, and copy paste doesn't work exactly the way that you expect it to. The best that I've been able to do as far as figuring out how to make things work is to move things around so that the rat's nest is mostly untangled in the area that I want to look at.
Right.
And I made a point to get the power routed, like the things that needed power, get that power routed first when I redid it. And then I didn't even bother with routing ground because I left that for a fill and then dealt with the problems of grounds that weren't connected after the fill was done.
Right.
Yeah, because if I remember watching the video, one of the main things that you had found was a bit wrong is you had your rows and columns for the equivalent of the PIA swapped, I think, or something, or the wrong rows.
Yes, for the MT8808, that was all like reversed. So rather than try and bodge that on the board, I bodged it in software, and that's part of why I wanted to go and get this entire board redone. One, it can be much more efficiently routed. Two, it can be made a little bit smaller.
And you don't need a 12-layer board?
So we need to talk, because my superpower is I like routing things.
Right.
And you can kind of partially route a board, and then the auto router won't screw up.
Well, I don't. I haven't really started using an auto router in KiCad.
Yeah, manual routing has its limits, and you need to lead the way, but you don't need to draw every single trace, I guess, is what I'm playing with. I'm still screwing up a lot of things, but
yeah.
Soon I will have a a paper, a
The
monograph.
big trick,
Yes.
yeah, the big trick for me is finding an auto router that plugs into KiCad readily.
Oh, readily.
Yes,
Yeah.
like so that I found one that I think will work. I'm just still I'm one of these folks who let me try and do it manually first so that I know
Yeah.
what's going on and I know what I'm looking at, so that when I go and do it automatically, I know what I'm looking at when the thing is trying to do something silly.
Right. No, it plays into my ACD. I like routing things. I will
yeah.
sit and do this all. If I could get paid to do this, I would just sit and do this.
This is your equivalent of painting or something.
Right. I'll just route things.
Now, one nice thing about the chip that you have there and the way it works, that you can actually programmatically change, say, from a Dragon keyboard layout to a Coco keyboard layout just in software on the
Absolutely.
chip.
Absolutely.
Now-
That's why I was able to botch the miswiring in software.
Yeah.
'Cause-
And then you also mentioned there's a bigger version of the chip that will handle a bigger matrix array. So you could actually do this for a whole ton of retro computers, not just Coco
Yes.
Dragon, etc.
The MT8816 will handle an 8x16 matrix, so which I know is big enough for an MSX. And like I said in the video, hey, if anybody wants to send me an MSX to test on, I'm happy to take it.
We should have asked at Boat Fest. I'm sure some people there had one.
Well, I wasn't doing this at Boat Fest, now was I?
You're starting to get like me and Nick. You have too many projects going on at once.
Right.
You got Fourth, you got this, and yeah. But it's nice because when you get a little frustrated, or you've done this one project for so long, you're just getting, I need a break. You can just, instead of taking a complete break and like just zoning out watching TV, you can just switch another project and it's fresh and new, and all of a sudden your brain will click in and, oh, I could have done this, and then you do it right away type thing rather than dwelling on it for weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And the other side of that being, I'm working on efficiency, on better time management in my life, so that these multiple projects I have, rather than releasing once a month, my goal for 2026 is to release one, or 2025 is to release once every couple of weeks, once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm still going to stick with Nitrous 9 once a year if I'm lucky type thing.
There you go. Once a year
that's
sounds
fine.
good.
Well, it's because I got too many other side projects on top of it. That's just, plus Nitrous 9 is not one project, it's a bunch of projects. So in this case here, basically at the beginning, you received your first set of boards, you discovered some of the issues, you got around them programmatically to figure out, some things that were wrong. And then you also found some, traces and stuff that you had to do, and you wanted to reroute it. And then you ordered a second board, which you designed here near the end. And then I'm assuming your follow-up video receiving those boards and trying those out. And
Right. I'm not sure what my next video is going to be. I'm not going to go straight into this one for the next one, I don't think.
Okay.
Because I also want to get started with doing some work with making the SAM be better.
Like a Sam doubler, perchance?
Like a hang on a tick. Let me see if this thing is actually going to let me do this. Like a there we go. Okay, there we are.
Oh, here, I'll stop sharing so Mark can highlight you so people can see what we're talking about.
Come on. I know you've got Zoom.
Mr. Mark B, are you there?
Oh, that's not working. Okay, it's stalled out. But
There we
that's
go.
okay.
Ooh.
Overhead and left, overhead.
You
Oh,
see all of his mids.
Yeah, you forgot to take your bids today.
oh. All right. So it's not letting me do that. That's all right. Where is it? Okay, so this thing, the Tang Nano. That is, I can use this angle. Here we go. All right, so the Tang Nano, it's got like 60 some odd pins on it, and it has enough juice in it that I can probably FPGA out not only the SAM, but possibly even the VDG, and do some kind of memory management routine with the SAM. So basically take this and have it be hopefully a single board banker with like 256K, see what I can do with that. And if I can do any type of doubling of clock rate or something, then that means that I can DDR the graphics memory so that I can pull off the attribute bits that I'll need to lift some of the other items. Lift the like the color select and set select and the other things that Tandy tied in.
Yeah, because there was quite a few of those banker boards that kind of hooked into the SAM.
Yeah.
Ken actually has a 256K J&R banker board, and that they sold up to 512K for that particular model.
Yeah, and this one is relatively inexpensive to grab. Like, I think I paid $20 for it, and it's got roughly 9,000 logic units on it, which should be enough to at least do the SAM. There's other possibilities, like might be able to do it with a Pico, but the Pico doesn't have nearly as many pins available as far as GPIO is concerned. And I'm going to need a few extras if I'm doing both the SAM and the VDG.
Yeah.
So, and get back to, there we go. All right, now back to normal.
Okay, well, thanks for the update. It looks really cool. I'm looking forward to the USB, especially since considering it'll work on a Dragon and a Coco, and as you mentioned, it might be expandable to a whole bunch of other retro computers eventually.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And just remember, folks, if you have an MSX to donate to Henry, please do so, and he'll get you a USB keyboard for you.
I want to play with one.
Okay, next up after that, this is kind of a follow-up to last week. If you remember last week in the chat, we had a person come into the chat and mention that he had written a program called Hidden Basic, a utility for hiding basic programmers from people from looking at the listings and copying them, etc. It's kind of some copy protection for the basic source that was sold by Spectrum Projects starting in 1983, and he was trying to find a copy because he doesn't have it anymore. And well, Paul Fiscarelli found a copy, which he mentioned on the air during the chat, and it's now up in the archive. So if you look, I just got the archive loaded here, and right here, it actually is the name that he himself was under, Color Phase. I believe his name was David, if I remember correctly. Color Phase Inc., and this was sold through Spectrum Products. We showed the ad last week. So that is another recovered program. So thanks to Paul, thanks to the original author David for actually mentioning it, because it's not one I'd ever saw before, though I do faintly remember the ads. And it's a pretty neat little utility. It's got both disc and cassette versions here, so that's awesome. Next up, unfortunately, Terry had to leave on us again. So these are Terry Steggy under his Retro Tech Time brand on YouTube. And he's got a couple little YouTube shorts here that he did. And the first one here is an extensive Coco collection he saved. So this is stuff that's going to be thrown out. I don't think it's just Cocos. I see some stuff that looks like other Tandy related items, but they're definitely a Coco 1, a Coco 3, CM8s. And I'll probably kill the sound because it's just generic music. There's no talking, but it just shows some shots, some stuff he picked up. Multi-pack there.
Boy, how's everyone get so lucky on these things?
Right?
I have no idea. Coco 3 in box yet?
I bet it's even got the dang door.
Yeah. So that was his first one. And the second one he uploaded is his Tandy TRS80 area. So this is kind of his display at home of what all he's got here. So he's got a few photos of that as well. And of course, this is a mixture of a whole bunch of different machines. You can see a lot of the TRS80 Model 1 monitors, etc. here. This should be legally free music, so I shouldn't get hit. Hey, he's got a pretty good collection of stuff there, and I was hoping maybe he'd be on to talk about some of it, but we'll save that for next time he's on. Oh, he's in the chat, though. He does say all Cocos and Coco repacks. Oh, the repacks, so those weren't all just generic Tandys as I thought they were. And that was a big thing in the late 80s, early 90s. A lot of people repacked their Cocos into PC style cases, towers, pizza box style, the whole bit. fact, Rick, you used to sell some of those, didn't you?
Yeah, I did for a while. Because if you ran a Coco 3 in a repack case, it was as good as a lot of people had in their IBM world. You know?
Yeah.
It was there. So,
In fact, I think we fooled people that it actually was a modern PC in some cases because you're multitasking and doing all kinds of stuff, right?
Exactly.
All right, so that's the regular news. So now we're going to get on the game on news, and there's quite a bit of stuff happening here. I'm going to switch over. Okay, so those of you on the Coco Discord that may have been following the progress that Lee Perkins has been doing on his port of the IBM VGA game called Cloud Kingdoms, which at very first quick glance reminds me a bit of Mind Roll, which is an Epix cartridge that the Coco had back in '89, sold by Tandy Radio Shack. This is a Coco 3 only game. He's doing a bunch of fancy stuff here. Currently, I think it's going to require a 2 meg machine to run. It's using hardware, horizontal and vertical scrolling. It mixes modes on the gimme, so the majority of the top of the screen is like a 320 by, I don't remember the exact res, 16 color mode. And then below that is an actual 40 column hardware text mode to take less RAM and also less stuff to move around to keep the speed of the main game up. So I'm going to play the entire video. He actually did 2 videos this week. The first one he did was basically showing that he's got the level selection screen working and then a bit of gameplay on a particular level. This still has the level game selection, but it actually has multiple levels. So you can see some of the different tile sets and stuff that he's got for the various groups of levels that the final game will have, and even some cursory sound effects. And this is recorded live from like a phone type thing, so you'll hear him hitting the keyboard and stuff here, but it's coming along really good, and it's actually playable. You can actually complete a level now. Now, he doesn't have any checking for dying or anything like that or getting the player injured or whatever. And that's mainly... Game. What's that? Yeah, exactly.
My kind of game.
But I mean, a lot of game programs, I think Nick does this too, where you want the game to work first before you worry about dying, because then it makes it a lot harder to test, because you have to be like really good on your game to get through far enough to actually test it properly. So anyway, this is a good progress report update, and it's actually doing quite well.
Looks sparkly.
Even got some sound effects now.
Was this a 2 meg game?
Yeah. No, I've never played the original game, so I'm not exactly sure what some of these things are doing. This part reminds me of Mind Roll, where you have to jump in certain spots. And now you're flying through over walls. So pretty good variety of gameplay in the game. There, you completed that, so now I'll go try a different kingdom. And some of these loading screens won't be on the final one, but the text version anyway. Yeah, he's saying Coco 3, 609, and 2 meg.
Do you know if he's got a Cloud 9 2 meg board?
Lee, if what version of the 2 meg board do you have? Is it a Boysen Tech or Cloud 9 or are you just doing emulator at this point? I don't even know. Now, has anybody here on the panel or in the chat for that matter played the original PC version of Cloud Kingdoms, which came out in 91 or 92 or something?
No, I've got it on the Amiga, but I never played it.
I like how the player's angry all the time, too. That's basically me playing most games, too.
And as you open those doors, now the 8-ball starts following you around or wandering around.
Yeah. Yeah, he mentions he's got a Boysen tech to make. And I don't know if he's got the original version or the updated version where it can read and write the extra bits on the MMU.
As you can see, the sparklies on the text screen there. I've got a Cloud 9 one, and it does the same thing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be doing on the gameplay screen. Is that just the Coco STC kind of giving some extra interference?
I'm not sure how it decides that, but
anyway, big compliments to Lee, because that actually looks like a pretty awesome game, and it looks visually impressive. Like that I would put that up against Atari ST, Amiga, or early Coco VJ games myself. That looks really well. And speaking of games, if you want them to look really well, Parasrat has been very busy. As we mentioned the last few shows here, he's been doing a lot of updates to his AGD games. That's the game building engine for the Spectrum, where he's been fixing all the palettes on the versions that are released for the Super Sprite FM Plus board, which includes a lot of MSX hardware for Dragons and Cocos, including a sound chip and a better graphics chip than the VDG is. And he's been going through and re-releasing these with fixed palettes so they more closely match the originals on the Spectrum, ZX Spectrum. So here's number 6. So this is the 6th pack of 6 games he's released. This includes Flight version 2.0, Foggy's Quest, and then Funky Fungus level 1s through 4 as separate games. And with the what keys do what. And then he's got the screenshots here, very Spectrum-like colors, and some pretty nicely designed ones too. Variety of the games here. Here's all the funky fungus ones. I'll just whip through them real quick here. And then just, I think, yesterday or the day before he released, or this morning, I guess, technically, this morning in the UK, he released pack number 7, which contains Forward to the Past, Bubble Frenzy 1.1, Gerber Groundhog and Save the Data, The Goblin, Mr. Hare and the Kitty Catacombs, and Janky Joe. And that's another set of 6 games. So now that he's got 7 of these out with 6 games each, that's 42 games for your Super Sprite FM Plus board, which means as far as, external hardware to add extra sound and graphics capabilities to Coco, it's by far the best supported one. Even more so than the Gimme X at this point.
He's the Jim Gary of this MSX ports.
Yeah. I mean, these are what you will see on a Coco 1 or 2 or a Dragon 3264 running this board. Plus, you get multi-voice sound, etc. So these definitely look a lot better than the standard VDG stuff. And obviously, he's got a fair bit of experience programming with this chip there. So if anybody wants to get one of those boards, then start writing some games, taking that board's capabilities into consideration, definitely talk to Bear and on the World of Dragon Archive forums that we talked about earlier. That's a great place to get a hold of him, and he can actually give you some tips and tricks. But yeah, some of these look really good. I know obviously the AGD games engine that he's using here is designed for platforms and single screen platforms for the most part. There's a few that push it beyond that boundary. But there's no reason that your own game you want to write for Super Sprite FM Plus has to do any of that kind of stuff. You could actually make it, scrolling or, even do some 3D or something if you wanted to, whatever you're capable of programming. You just have a bunch more colors and stuff here to work with, and an actual sound chip that runs in the background rather than taking all the CPU time. Yeah, there's some pretty good screenshots here from the various games. But anyway, yeah, he's still cranking them out. I think he's roughly doing them in alphabetical, and right now he's only on the F to J. So there's a lot of the alphabet left to go through, so there's a lot more of these still coming. Next up, now this isn't strictly Coco, but Emerson Costa did a port of Minesweeper called Campo Minato for the CCE MC1000, which also has a 6847, kind of talking about that during the show in England that we covered earlier, about a bunch of machines that use the same video chip as the Coco. And this is doing a P-Mode 4 equivalent, so the G6R, which is the 256 by 192 two-color. It's not meant to be artifacted, so it's meant to be in black and white. No, I didn't really zoom it up, did it? I'll just leave it here. But basically, it's a Minesweeper game. ported to that particular machine, which I think is also a Z80, Z80 based machine with the VDG chip. So it's good to see that some other people are actually starting to play more with the VDG as well, and pushing that chip to its limit on some of the other systems that didn't really get too much modern games on it. So I'm not familiar with that particular machine. It does have its own Facebook group with 460 members. I see Jim Gary and John Linville are both some of the members on there. And if you want to get the software directly, you can go to his GitHub here. And this is all in Portuguese because I think he's from Brazil. And he's got a whole bunch of projects on there as well as this one. So you can go check that stuff out. But if you have one of these or have an emulator that runs this, you can actually get all the documentation. You can run it through the translate.google.com and download source code and everything else too. So next up, we have a non-maskable interrupt on YouTube. He's done a couple recent videos of various Coco 2 and 3 games, mostly Radio Shack cartridge based. So some of the stuff that Radio Shack themselves sold. And he's got one here where he does clowns and balloons. Now he's just booting up on this Coco 3. It's running on a CM8 monitor, which doesn't support artifact colors. So this will come out just plain old black and white. He also did not hold down the F1 key to get the text color right here on the screen. So it's kind of do the alternate phase shift thing with the alternate colors. I won't bother playing it because it's just a quick little video just showing you clowns and balloons running. We've all seen that before. And singing black and white isn't quite as good as singing in color, but it's good. He's kind of going through all the cartridges he actually owns and running them actually on the Coco 3. So if you have a Coco 3 with some of the Coco 1 and 2 games, you can see what you can expect if you have a CM8 monitor. Now, if you get a modern SCART style thing like CoCoMan sells, or if you have some of the monitors that actually let you do both composite and RGB, like say a Magnavox 8515 or the Amiga 1084S, if you have the right cable to hook it up to the Coco, then obviously you can get both. You just hit a switch and you're playing in artifact colors. Now, just Steve Fiveser, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's done a few Coco long play game videos before that we've covered a month or two ago. And in this case, he did a couple of new ones this week. And the first one here is Dave Edson of Aardvark Software. He did Ketchum, and he wrote these in high school. The entire run of stuff he did for Aardvark was he wrote in high school. And Ketchum is kind of a popcorn clone, or maybe Kaboom if you're familiar with the Atari version, or Atari game on the Atari 2600 VCS, where you have to catch all the falling objects. And I think, if I remember correctly, we have played this in the Game On Challenge already, quite some time ago. But I'll just play a little bit so you can get, if you haven't seen the game before, you can get a feel for it. This one's a bit different than some of the other ones. Instead of just having the same things you're catching all the time, it actually changes the shapes just for a bit of variety. The game gets faster as you progress. And after you finish, there's a series of objects that go all the way across the screen. You can see he's on the third one right now. The very last one is a smaller object, so it's a bit harder to catch, and usually it's running pretty quick. And then you get little flags like in Galaxian, where you get a flag for each wave, a complete set that you've completed. I'll just fast forward a bit. So you see now he's on the third wave. You can see the speed's kicked up. But he's at the beginning of the third wave type thing. And you've got your spare men up at the top as well. Just a simple 16K joystick operating game. You definitely need an analog joystick for it. The other game he covered and did a long play of was Shark Treasure by Greg Anderson for Computerware. And this is one of my favorites. This to me is like a hidden gem. I think Buck Owens found there is an arcade game similar to this, which I was not aware of before. He pointed it out, but this is definitely a fun game. We've also played this one in the Game On Challenge before as well. If you're new to the Coco, this is a classic to me. Fairly unique as amongst the 8-bit machines. Skip the loading screen. Joystick 16K as well. This is where greed takes a big part, because you can try to grab as many things. You can carry 3 things at once. There's those gold bars in the bottom you're trying to get without getting eaten by sharks. You also have a flare gun that you can scare the sharks to go the opposite direction from what they're going now. And later on, when you get more and more sharks in these infested waters, then you start, playing off, do I want to just get 1 gold or maybe 2 so I still have a flare to get back up to my boat to drop the gold off? Or am I going to be greedy, take all 3 and just hope to God I can dodge all the sharks? The game also has your score going up as you put gold bars into your boat, and then it goes down as you get eaten if you're carrying gold. So it keeps track of your high score for the current session, but your score actually can drop, and it'll keep track of the, as high as you got this particular round. And of course, later in the game, you get, sorry?
An upside down Frogger.
Well, kind of. But Frogger doesn't have you go both directions.
No.
And you can't scare the trucks off or anything like that, so.
Imagine a frog that would scare the trucks.
The thing I always found fascinating is this one, they picked a color set that has blue, which would be perfect for water. But they made the water green to make the sharks blue and magenta, which, the sharks look pretty good, I have to admit. There was a jump scare in the game too, I should mention that. But I'm pretty sure they probably could have picked a slightly better color set, but actually had blue water, I'm guessing.
Did that shark actually lick his lips after he ate you?
Get eaten by another shark.
Yeah, it's doing its impression of David Ladd looking inside the internals of a floppy drive. Hi, David, if you're watching. Daddy Brio's asking in the chat, is there a television game like this called Shark Shark or something like that? Was it the same thing? I don't remember that game in the television because I didn't play too much in television when I was young, so I'm not sure. I don't know if anybody here on the panel has played that particular game. That's a good game, though. The jump scare really gets you the first time, especially if you haven't been warned about it. Because when the shark gets within a certain range of you, it'll speed up and try to chomp on you. Next up, this just got released last night, and this is Tim and AJ. Returning to the Coco, and for the first time in several months, it's not Dungeons of Daggerath since AJ managed to win it the last round. So now they're back to their alternating between non-Coco to Coco, because Coco, of course, is Tim's, the machine he grew up with as well. And this one, they cover Paul Shoemaker's recent release of Lava Hero. And AJ loves this game, and she says that repeatedly during it. It's just, he's really good at doing the games you don't have to learn a lot to play. They're not hard to learn how to play. They're hard to master type thing, which is perfect for in a game. And of course, we had this on the Game On Challenge not too long ago either.
And you're dead.
And this one here, I'll spoil it a little bit. AJ is leading the score for almost the entire episode, and then Tim managed to pull one out of the bag right at the end there and beat her. So, but she was pretty happy with it because she basically ruled the entire show up until the very end. So definitely check that out, and looking forward to some more Coco games. I did love following her doing Dungeons of Daggerath and seeing the sheer excitement and joy when she finally did beat the game. Because that's an accomplishment. That was not easy, even for some of us Coco diehards back in the day. That took a lot of work. And to do it in modern times, yeah, definitely impressive. Because most modern gamers aren't used to having the patience you require to save, reload because you just died, and keep doing that over and over and over again. Next up, this was kind of a fascinating one. I wasn't expecting this at all. So apparently, I'll show this page first. So the King's Quest series switched engines. Basically, Sierra Online was using an engine called AGI for all of their earlier releases. The original King's Quest, Leisure Suit Larry 1, the earlier Space Quests, Manhunter, a bunch of others. And this went on for a while. It was basically set up for a 16-color engine. And that's all what the Coco ones were. Leisure Suit Larry and King's Quest 3 for the Coco, the official releases, and all the ones that Games ported over afterwards, which I think there's a dozen or so now. They're all on EOU if you want to check them out. Even some homemade ones for people who learned how the engine actually works. But King's Quest IV was the first one where they started using the new engine, but they also simultaneously released a version of it for the older AGI engine. And that was the last one. So basically they switched everything over to VGA, 256 colors, point and click interface, etc. And that's what all the later ones were done. So basically any AGI engine based machines like the Coco 3 were basically cut off after that. And this includes, even older PC graphics cards, etc. If you had an older PC, you couldn't run any new ones either. Well, a guy on the PC side of things decided to redo King's Quest VI and reported the game back to the AGI engine. And this took a long time. As he mentions here, and this is the original author's version of it, Brandon Curry, took 18 years between 2006 and 2024 to backport King's Quest VI, skipping 5, from the original 256 color VGA required back to the AGI engine. And it just requires 16K or 16 color graphics and the typing interface instead of the mouse and joystick version. So he calls it a demake. So I thought it's a pretty cool way to describe it. And he just released it for the PC, I think in June of this year, or basically the middle of the year, 2024. And he, gives big thanks and stuff for it. Well, he ported that over now since it got ported to the AGI engine. He's ported it over to the Coco. And these are screenshots from the Coco version of it. And you can actually download the original PC version if you want to try that out too. He's got a link to it in his post on the Facebook Coco group. And he's put it on the Color Computer Archive. And some of you who were watching when I was showing the Hidden Basic upload that Paul Fiscarelli did may have noticed that this is actually available there too. In a variety of formats. It's set up for drive wire. It's set up for the STC. A couple other the different storage options that we have. I think Roger Taylor's, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Ron DeVoe might remember. But there's another alternative to STC and DriveWire there that you can get the different formats for running it. Because the game is pretty big. If you want to run on an actual Coco, your two options are you can get 720K disk images. So if you have a 3.5-inch drive on there, it takes 2 of those. Or you can run it on a 360K double-sided 40-track floppy like the FD502, and that takes multiple disk images you're going to have to swap back and forth. I'm planning on putting this on the next release of EOU, and I'll set it up for the hard drive so you don't have to worry about swapping anything. But it's kind of cool. We're getting a much later Sierra game, 1992, on the Coco, this far late in the game type thing. And I'm looking forward to playing it. And he's actually put up a fair number of screenshots here. You can see here's the actual intro to King's Quest VI, aired today, gone tomorrow. Haha. And then some of the graphics you can actually see. And the it looks like he digitized some of these, or basically pulled them off with some sort of graphics conversion programs. It's not the super clean drawn for that particular 16 color mode graphics that the original ones were. You can see a little bit of it's trying to, dither, etc. But still, to get a game, years after on a 256 color engine, get it backported to the Coco and the PC for 16 colors. I think that's awesome. That's really cool that somebody took the amount of time to do that and redo all the graphics and the interface, etc.
Well, right, because you have no choice but to down convert the VGA assets back.
Yeah, either that or you have to redraw them all from scratch. Like maybe Erico could do something like that, but I sure as
right, but you're going to have to pay someone to do that, where this had to be done programmatically. So, bravo. I mean,
yeah,
it may look a little funky sometimes, but pretty good to me.
Yeah, and the fact that this is like we've gotten all the other ports and a lot of the homemade stuff like Space Quest Zero and some of these other totally original games that were built in the AGI engine, but to get an actual Sierra large scale game that we never had and the PC never had running these older graphics cards, to get it actually running up on the Coco and stuff, that's just awesome. Like to get a brand new TOS Sierra game from the 90s, not the 80s. That's awesome.
Right.
So I look forward to trying this. And the last of the Game On Challenge. So the Amigos have an annual thing they do every year called Thanks for Giving. Originally, it was actually a fundraiser, and they've just gotten less and less time to do this kind of stuff. And in this case here, they did, I think, an 8-hour stream live on Thanksgiving Day, United States Thanksgiving, I should say. And they played a variety of machines. If you actually go through their playlist on their description, you can see like where the different cutoffs. Now, this is the remastered version the supercut, as Aaron calls it. So basically, he took an 8-hour stream and he crunched it down to just over 5 hours. He takes out all the in-between banter and when there's switching systems hooked up to the display that they were streaming and basically going through all that kind of stuff. If you want to see the original one with all the banter, and a lot of people watch the Amigos because of the banter, because they're hilarious to watch and listen to, there's the full 8-hour version on their Twitch channel. So you can go check that out over the next 30 days before Twitch expires it. But this one here is kind of the cut down. And as you can see, they start with a Neo Geo game, then a Game Boy Advance, and then they played 3 TRS80 Coco games in a row. 1-on-1, Dr. J versus Larry Bird, which is a Steve Bjork Coco 1 and 2 game. Dino Wars, which is just about a launch title. That's by Robert Kilgus, of course. And then Demon Attack, which is a bit of a later Coco 1 and 2 game. That's an official Activision game itself. I'll play a little bit of a clip of it, but I did want to point out their Dino Wars seems a bit wonky because on that one that they were playing, this happened a couple times in a row. As soon as a player got bit, the game was over. They got rid of all 100 hit points in one shot. And that's not how the original cartridge works. Basically, I think you lose 10 or maybe 20 points on a bite, and then you can lose half that on if you run into a cactus by accident. You should not be killed with one bite. So something's a bit weird on their particular version. I don't know if there's a corrupt version they got or maybe an old version somebody hacked or something. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But yeah, they actually only played it for a couple minutes because it was basically whoever got the first bite won the game. And that's really not how the game should play.
We're moving on to GBA. We're out. See if we can figure out how to make the start.
Now, I've heard that the Coco version, like some of the other versions of 1-on-1, you can break the backboard. Has anybody here done that? Where you shatter the glass? I know I've seen it on some of the other machines like the Atari 8-bits and stuff.
You doing that or me? Yes. Okay.
I've never been able to do it in the Coco. I'm not even sure how to do it, but
now remember,
somebody told me it actually is on there.
An analog controller. Oh, 2-player. Play ball.
Anyway, they're pretty evenly matched. They play the full round here.
7 seconds left.
And the scores aren't too much different from each other.
I mean, I played my kid brother, and I massacred that poor little guy. But I never smashed any backboards.
Yes. Run.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how. Like, I remember reading about it back in the day, and I think I did try, but I had no idea how. And I'm kind of curious if that's possible. Because I have seen it, like I said, on the Atari 8-bits, and I think even the C64 version does that.
Right.
And I think it even mentions in the manual you can do that, but I don't know what the move is to actually cause that to happen. Well, Mark Siegel in the chat is saying, yes, you can. I'm not sure exactly how to do it, but I definitely want to see that happen on the Coco version.
Score a single 3 the entire time. I don't know. Maybe you can't score a 3. I can't remember on the Coco. Do you not just use run?
There's Dino Wars with the wrong color set, but that's because it's running on the Coco 3. But this 100 is your hit points for each player, and once you bite it, you lose 20, not all 100 in one shot, which you'll see shortly. And of course, if you want to catch it, our interview with Robert Kilgus goes into how the sound effects and stuff were created, which is an interesting story on its own.
Stop screaming.
And real-time 3D scaling graphics for 1980-81, that's pretty impressive.
Okay.
There, instant die, right down to 0.
Yes, the ground. Bam.
And that's not how Dino Wars should play.
I mean, it's Scream the attack.
And then Demon Attack was last game. That's a classic. Now we've got a few versions of this. Devil Assault by Ken Kalish is kind of a Demon Attack style game too.
To our children.
Ours actually featured the backgrounds, which the original Atari 2600 did not.
It's a killer cheesecake.
And it also features the mothership at the end, which the Atari 2600 version did not. I think the Intel and most of the others did. So we got into the later version where they actually had the mothership at the end, which is kind of like the mothership in Phoenix, or what is the Coco Clone of Phoenix called? Demon Seed by Computer Shack / Midstrong.
It takes a second. All right, you let me know. Now hit it.
Anyway, they played a ton of stuff. So if you want to, check out, they played the Genesis, the Acorn Archimedes. So doing some UK-based systems and European-based systems, Sega Master System, actual arcade games, Nintendo, C64, MSX machine. That's just a taunt Henry, Atari 7800, and the Amiga. So there's a ton of stuff there. So 5 hours of game playing goodness if you want to check it out. And that's it for the news this week.
Where's my mouse? Here it is. Okay.
Wake up, everyone.
Yeah, just in time for me and Nick to put you to sleep again shortly.
Okay. So is that everything we got for today?
For the regular show, yes. And I think we'll cut the stream off and then restart it so it can be a separate recording for the CoCotech 6A episode.
Oh, am I recording that? Am
I would
streaming
assume
that
we're
one?
recording it, Mark. That's what you would want.
Yeah, I haven't tried my streaming setup in a while. So if Mark B has time to do that, since I don't think it's gonna be too long, I'd say go for it.
Yeah, I could do that.
I do want to take a quick little break, though, just to grab a quick snack. It won't be like more than a couple minutes, but just I don't to give my throat a bit of a rest. It's starting to die in me here, so I'll give it a break.
Okay, so let me
There
go ahead
is a bit of a
and run
break.
the outro.
This concludes another episode of The CoCoNation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things The CoCoNation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. The CoCoNation show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCoNation theme song, copyright 2022, D. Bruce Moore. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCoNation is over. Join us on the Coco Discord server. Coco forever.
Okay, well, that's it for today. Stay tuned. We'll start up another broadcast in about 5-10 minutes or so on the Coco Talk or Coco Tech.
Coco Tech.
Flashback.
So close.
For the real messages.
Yeah, the flashback. All right. So till next week. Bye, everybody. Oh, don't forget to join us Thursday for the Game On Challenge.